me if I'm wrong on this, but from what I've been hearing as well, part of the judge's ruling was because of the risk. And the reason why there was a risk is because of what has happened, with there being protests. It becomes a health and safety risk to everyone. So I think that was part of the ruling as well. I know I think it's important as well to acknowledge that it was the locals that was obviously coming out twice a week, Thursdays and Sundays, putting constant pressure, keeping it in the media, because some people after a few weeks, it's very easy to sort of give up and I presume the government was just hoping that it would go away. But if anything, it ignited, the rest of the country, other parts of London, like this hotel, etc., in Norfolk, and Nuneaton, it made people come out, and that constant pressure by everyone, the credit is give credit where credit's due. It goes to the locals, and there has been obviously reports coming out from the councillors trying to come in at the last minute and take all the glory. So
Yeah.
just to reiterate, the councillors really in Epping have done jack shit. And it was all
Yeah.
the locals that was putting the pressure on, with a few there were councillor candidates there for reform that have been putting the pressure on as well. So just to
Mhm.
acknowledge them as well, that this is the reason why we've been getting these decisions. And I think it's an amazing decision. And just to emphasize on what you were saying, Craig, at the beginning when you came in, yes, people will complain that, well, where do they go? It's gonna, yeah, whether they get pushed into HMOs, I think they need to be shut down as well. I just think,
Mhm.
you may have heard me say this earlier on our space, but it just accelerates the problem to the point of where we need to be at. We cannot afford. They've been going into HMOs already, right? They've been reducing the amount of hotels that have been used. I believe they were using previously over 400 and now down to around 210. So the problem isn't going to go away. And if we keep turning the blind eye, no matter where they go, this means, they would have been using HMOs, let's say, over the next sort of 5-10 years, for argument's sake, right? They've already been giving out contracts to hotels to 2029. If it means that there's going to be so many people now that are going to need processing, and we accelerate it, the government are going to be overwhelmed. The housing situation is going to be overwhelmed. It's going to force tenants might possibly be forced out by the landlords, because they can probably see, the carrot dangling out, and which is going to cause even more, uproar amongst, people that need housing, because there's massive housing shortages down south as well, all over the UK. And I think then there's going to be a funnel, there's going to be a bottleneck at the port, at the borders, because how they're going to process them from the border and get them into hotels when they're not available. So again, I agree, it will 100% put added pressure on the government, because we're going to get to that point anyway. I just think if we get there quicker, we've got more chance to deal with it.
Yeah, yeah, good point. Now, you're up, as I said earlier, you're very much on the ground there. You're at the coalface, Martin. I guess you'll have met a lot of new friends during your visits. I know it's not far from you. I think it's maybe a town or two away from you. Um, what's the sort of feeling amongst those who were hardcore at the protests?
Um, Well, again, they're happy that this is going through. Obviously, we've got to bear in mind as well. They've got until, what is it, the 12th of September to get them out. Um,
Mhm.
they are, yeah, the ones that I've spoken to are happy, but they're not going to stop. Now, the next stage is to go, right, Cheshunt Hotel. Then the next one. So the people from Epping are now offering their support to other protests. I mean, we do have to bear in mind it has to be locally led, because again, people in other areas are going to go, well, they're going to be moved to our area. Okay, well, you do need to get out and protest yourself. Like, you can't, it can't be done by everyone that say Epping. I know people have been getting out, but the general feeling, yes, a massive victory. It is a huge victory. And then the other thing is regarding the hotel itself. Is it going to go back to being a normal hotel? Because that was one of the other reasons by the judge, because it's not being used as a true hotel. How can you go to a place like that, where if it was a so-called hotel, it should be public, accessible areas, which there wasn't. Boards up going, this isn't open to the public, things like that. These are all the reasons why it went against
Yeah.
them. And just to reiterate about, the Home Office, they had the temporary injunction was put in last week, what, nearly a week ago. I think it was last Thursday, I believe. They had
Mm.
all weekend, but they've sat on their hands. They completely sat on their hands, and then they put in, their case at, what, 5:23 on Monday evening, which means if the hearing was, say, I'm not quite sure what time it was listed for yesterday morning, say from, what, 10 o'clock, for instance, you know, the court wouldn't have even looked at that appeal until that some point in the morning. So, you know, they've only got themselves to blame really. But going back to the locals, yeah, they are happy. I don't know. I didn't manage to get down there last night, but there was quite a few celebrations. Let's say.
Good and well done to them. Now, we had Connor who organised the Falkirk protest, which was the second protest he organised. Both very, very good turnouts. His first one, I couldn't believe it when I turned up at it. I parked my car, I got out my car and I walked round the corner into the park it was in, and he had hundreds there for his first event. Now, he's been up and down. I wonder if he's maybe got connection problems. Because this question here from Yvonne is, hi everyone, does anyone know how the young lad that was pulled off the fence at Falkirk demo is? If he needs a witness, I'm here. So I'll need to try and remember that one for when hopefully Connor does make it back in. But the John or DJ or Kev, do any of you guys, we've been more local, have you heard how this one went on? I remember seeing the footage. I think Alex had the footage of it. Any of you three heard an update on that?
I don't know if Gino wants to take this one on.
On the young boy?
Mm-hmm.
I think my understanding is that he got out and I think he actually they dropped him around the corner, mate. So I'm not 100% how it's went, but that's what I kind of heard, if that makes sense.
But there's Connor coming back.
Connor can come in and tell you more. Craig, I'm not happy. You've lied to me.
I lied to you?
Aye. You tell me we're coming on to talk. You tell me we're coming on to talk about the football last night.
John, I'll get a delete button here, This is not a football talking show, right? You decide one if you're going to start talking nonsense about that.
Oh God,
Connor, I don't know if you could hear us there, but I take it you've had a wee bit of problems. Getting connection problems. But Yvonne was asking if anybody had an update on the young lad that was pulled off the fence with the police at your demo on Saturday. Have you heard anything more about that?
Is everybody all right?
I know, back Connor, you.
Seem to have been problems. There's a few he's dropping in and out.
I think he's having connection issues.
Aye, but Martin's back in as well.
So I'm back in now. Sorry about that. That was me, mate. I was reading through the comments. I pressed done and I closed myself out. So sorry.
What did I say to Martin? I knew he wasn't going to be on all night, but I was wondering what. John's appearance just.
I guess you're here to talk about is this a result, and there's kind of it's like a yes and a no in my opinion. You know, I mean, Martin, I wanted to ask you out of curiosity, how long have you been doing these protests down there now? For how long has that been? 2-3 weeks?
No, it's longer than that. I reckon it's been about twice a week, probably 10 to 12. I'd have to go back and look on my. That's a good question.
How much media coverage have you guys been getting down there, like mainstream media? And is the so, for example, when we done the one in Falkirk at the weekend there, STV News, Clyde One, BBC have all reported. Now they've reported on one. They focused on one thing, which was a banner that was there, which nobody agrees with, by the way. The banner was absolutely shocking. The BBC actually contacted me and actually asked me to go on the radio show. I'm actually so glad that I ignored it. I didn't see it. So they asked me to go on BBC Scotland because I knew that what they were going to do. They were going to try and spin it and focus on that. Now, again, it frustrates me because all I'm seeing is these articles regarding this one incident. But I'd be sitting there asking, right, okay, number one, go look at my video that's on my channel regarding what happened in Falkirk. Listen to the speeches to prove that these people aren't what you guys are claiming. Also, did you report on the sign that the person that was living in the hotel held up, which says that you're not British? Now, again, that was really silly. And was there any reporting on the fact that basically the police started pushing the public? And again, it's like, I'm curious, what's the mainstream media been like where you are, mate, Martin?
Well, there hasn't really been any, apart from GB News coming down every so often, which, you know, they were great when they come down. Obviously the likes of Adam Brooks, who, yeah, he's been coming down pretty much to every single one as well. So he's been reporting, obviously as a concerned dad, because he's from the area as well, but also on behalf of GB News, and he's been doing some great coverage. But apart from that, and apart from the old, the victory parade yesterday, they didn't really show up because they just wanted their photo shot. Get all their little bit for the headline yesterday after the court ruling. So they've been non-existent. They've, even Jack can vouch as well because I've seen him down there multiple times as well. If it weren't for the likes of, us just literally doing filming everywhere, anywhere and everywhere. I mean, there was so many of us dotted about that we literally, I don't think there was a blade of grass that wasn't covered in one way, shape, or form.
I think I love Wesley Winters. Wesley Winters is one of the best guys. He goes around. I love his videos. I'm trying to do what Wesley does, to be honest with you, because I just love the way Wesley does it. And I think one of the most eye-catching ones was when they were all getting on. I think it was you that covered it, Martin, which was when they were all getting on the buses, which is basically the police vans, and it kind of shows you how one-sided it was. And GB News were there on Saturday in Falkirk, and again, I didn't see any mainstream, but again, the only mainstream media that were there was Clyde One, the ASIN, and that's basically the main radio station that's in Glasgow. But when I got there, I tried to interview the not even opposition. When you're there, you're trying to be a bit,
impartial. You want to try and you
want to be impartial, but you want to get an understanding. You don't want to ask too much questions. You say, "What are you here for?" Standard. But none of them want to talk to me. I had one guy that spoke to me, and to be honest with you, we actually agreed on a lot of things. But it's just that one narrative they're getting spun, which is incorrect, of racism and everything else. So it just goes to show us how much we really are up against it. But is this a win that what's happened? Technically, kind of yes. And does protesting work? Yes. I mean, if I go back to the COVID days, now, I don't know if anyone heard about the mandate rally that happened in London. I wasn't there for that. I didn't hear about this, but they filled the streets for the mandates. It was like NHS 100k. How much mainstream media coverage was that? None, but they managed to overturn that. There has been so much. I mean, I've done so much rallying and protest since I've been injured by the Jag, and to be honest with you, that's not really got anywhere, but it is really power in numbers, and it is power in people. And I've always said it's like people need to start coming together, because I've been saying it for ages. It's definitely something bigger at play here. But the question really is, and I'm going to refer to Kev's tweet, Uncle Denzo down there, because it's worrying where it goes, if that makes sense. So if it's true, and it ties in with what Kev's saying, that they're now going to take them. So if they're going to shut these down, they have to move them somewhere. So where are they going to move them? Are they going to move them in with the vulnerable, the homeless, and mix it with children? And let's be honest here, if there's children in these hotels, in my opinion, I wouldn't be going to a protest, because you don't want to be going to a protest with a child in it. And that's kind of where my head's kind of going now, I mean, I don't know what your thoughts are. Anyone?
Oh, who's that?
It's an interesting thing. I think as soon as there's children involved, I think that, everything becomes a bit different, and you need to make your own judgment call on that. I think if there was people inside a hotel that had families in it, for example, and was similar to Falkirk, where there was evidently issues, assault problems, and a number of them, then you've got to make that judgment call. But if it was a hotel that was just housing people and it wasn't any issues, no effect on the local community, then I think that is a totally different proposition, John. So I think it's got to be horses for courses. I see AY Audits is in the room. If he wants to come up, that's another man that's been very active and give us his insight to this sort of protest natures and things that's happening just now. Then please just crack on. And I do apologise to those on YouTube. I thought I'd put in the description the link to the studio. It wasn't, so it's in there now. So interesting stuff. And there's a man. Do you know, I knew you were coming on, Stephen, right? And I knew you were going to do this again. Sit out your back door with a nice big Havana there, one lined up, just in case you put me in an ocean again, and I don't need to crawl through the living room and find a stash. So how are you tonight, Stephen?
I'm good, like yourself.
So what's the plans for you the weekend? Do you out again?
Plans for me, same as every weekend, Big. And Another day, another protest.
John Aberdeen for you, I take it.
Aye. John should
that's the lad that's
be popping into the room.
Origin. Yeah, good. No, just my ears just peeped there. Oh, it's AY Audits.
My signal's not good here. Aye, he should be trying to get on, but he couldn't get it to work.
You need to finish your cigar and get back in the living room, mate. Your reception's far better in there.
Oh, I know.
So we'll get somebody else has joined us. But it's great. That's what I thought tonight.
Can I just ask, is there issues with my sound, by the way?
No, it's fine.
Craig's running his internet via dongle.
Kevin, shut up. You're only here for when I'm bored, right?
Aye, right. No bother, Chief. I'm only here to boost your numbers.
So I've got to pop off shortly and grab a dinner just in a sec. But I just wanted to say, adding on to what Martin was just saying earlier, before I've got to head off, that in terms of the actual media coverage, I mean, really, now AY is here, Martin's here. This is already three of the people who've been almost at, protests every day, constantly out there. In terms of who else I saw the Sun once, the Britannia, the Express was there a few times, and the Telegraph sent some people down as well, but only to the Britannia as well, as where I saw those extra people, because obviously, it's in London, so not too hard for them to get that way. But in terms of the BBC, the Guardian, I haven't seen anyone even close to kind of the left of the political spectrum on the media or the mainstream media at all covering these protests. It really is ridiculous that they do seem to want to put no eyes on this at all, so that they can pretend that it's not happening to their audience, especially the BBC. I mean, even Times Radio, which is like relatively liberal, like they had me on this morning and last night to talk about it. And so that's even these people sort of recognize, the power of citizen journalists who've been covering all this. I know we had, big shout outs from people basically like, look, you guys are putting the eyes on this, when really the BBC, which should be, the main outlet for the country, the recorder in chief of, things that go on here, they don't seem to be interested at all. They don't care. And in fact, not only do they not care, they specifically don't want to put coverage on this at all. But yeah, anyway, I do have to head off now. I've got to eat
Jack,
dinner.
that's great.
It's been good to be on.
Yeah, no, listen, Jack, I'd really appreciate you coming on. When I was speaking to Basil earlier on today, I said, look, I want to not just have it the normal folk that we have on. I want to try and get as much scope from all over the country just to see what the feeling is. But certainly, I'm really energised by what's happened in Epping, and I really do hope it leads to bigger and better things across our nation that we can all get and make a difference to things that we find important. So thanks very much. It's been a pleasure talking to you, Jack, and I hope it's not the last time. All right. Take care.
Thank you for having me on.
So,
I'm sure I'll be back at some
point. Buddy. Yeah, top man. AY, you've been leading the charge for a bit longer than all of us out your camera and highlighting things. How are you tonight?
Well, I'm all right, thanks, Greg. Finally, great to speak to you, I suppose, finally.
Yeah, me and you both, mate. I feel privileged you're on. You're such a well-known face around social media and the stuff that you've been doing. So, where's your travels been taking you to the last sort of 7-10 days?
To be honest with you, like I haven't really been to visit many hotels lately. Not as many as I normally do, because of the amount of the protests that are actually on, and I've kind of got a life like outside of YouTube. Do you know what I mean? Like I've got a business to run as well. And I've got a missus and stuff, like I'm sure Martin understands as well. Can start getting like a little bit hectic, but mate, I can't stay for too long because I'm actually I'm not filming anything tonight, but I'm going to help the lads raise the flags again. We're re-raising the flags again. Yeah, the council took them down. We're putting them back up.
Yeah. Do you know what worried me? The bit in Birmingham where they were painting the roundabouts, I thought that was a fantastic thing, right? And I thought about it myself, and I thought to make a Union Jack out a roundabout would probably take me about an hour. So I probably wouldn't be able to pull it off. But the fact to just go up and slap 2 red stripes, 1 horizontal, 1 vertical, what a great thing it was. And it was disappointing to see Birmingham cannot collect the bins, but their council can get out and remove these flags. It shows you where their morals are and their priorities, and that was absolutely ridiculous. AY, a pleasure having you in. Stay as long as or as short as you can. You're always welcome in here, my friend.
I would just like to say thanks as well to Jack, you know, like, because if it wasn't for people like Jack, he wouldn't be able to get it to a different audience. Do you know what I mean? Like, and he takes it to a different level, really, kind of thing, you know, like, it's all good and well.
Yeah.
It's all good and well going to a hotel and filming it and uploading it on YouTube, and, you know, but some people can get it to the next level, and Jack's one of them people. So, you know, big up to Jack as well.
Yeah, a lot of people dislike the mainstream media, and we all understand why. But regardless of what we think of them, a lot of people still tune in and listen and watch them. So when we get anybody that can start, you know, straddling both camps, it's fantastic, and it just pushes it up to the next level. But just with the amount of people out now that are getting well known to the public, that are covering whatever the stories are, whatever the concerns are, that between all of us doing something, you know, it hits lots of people. So, you know, it's great, but it's always nice to get a wee bit of extra help spreading the word, mate. So, you're spot on there. So,
do you know, like,
Dan, how are you tonight? Sorry, Ivan.
No, go on.
When you go, Ivan? No, you go, Ivan. Sorry, how are you tonight, Dan? Your mute's on, mate. No. Dan's disappeared. Must be a connection because he's pushed back down to the green room. So, Stephen, Aberdeen, how fantastic are they up there? I mean, they're at it. The consistency award in Scotland must go to Aberdeen, right? It's just like that day we went down, they had 2 protests in the course of that day in the same place, right? So, absolutely phenomenal. Dan, I'm trying to bring you back up, but it's saying that neither Karen or Mike are connected. So, fill that out, give me a shout, we'll get you up. So, Stephen, just Aberdeen, talk to me. Why are they so consistent?
Because there's so many. I mean, everywhere you go, if you guys when you came in last time, if you came through the city centre, you'll see it. They're everywhere. There's John. That's John. That's the guy that's actually, and he's the guy that's running it. So I met him on the first protest the week before Peterhead.
Yeah, it was good timing there, John, because we were just asking about Aberdeen, and I don't know if you heard me, but I said this a couple of times in the last few days. Aberdeen must take the title for consistency. He's at it. And when I was up last Saturday, there was 2 protests at the same hotel in the one day. Do you know what I mean? And I've managed to count 8 hotels in the space of the last 7 or 8 days. So absolutely hat off to you guys. You're smashing it. And it was the first time, to be fair, as a teenager, I used to travel up to Aberdeen, the beach area, to go and watch a football team playing red against my team. And it was the first time I was in the vicinity of that beach, and I don't think I was chased out it. So that was a bit unusual. And people were kind of glad to see me. So that was nice, visiting the beach end at Aberdeen and being welcomed. So well done to you, John. And why Aberdeen? Why are you at it so much? And how are you doing so well?
Well, I just think Aberdeen's got a bit sick of it, to be honest with you. It's kind of, I've heard about 6 or 7 hotels in Aberdeen. That's the only one that was confirmed for a while. And mostly around my area, I was hearing bad things constantly. And a lot of parks and stuff just getting overrun with it. And as you said, we were constantly at it, but the numbers weren't great. I know yourself and John came down to one at the beach, but the numbers weren't good. So I started up a page trying to get maybe got to have 50 to 100 people to come and stand there. And then after about a week, we had about 3,000 followers. So hopefully we can keep bringing the numbers, and making more of an impact, because someone needs to change. Someone really needs to change in Aberdeen anyway. All over the country, I can see that, but Aberdeen's getting bad for it, really bad.
No, you're smashing it, honest to God, and it doesn't matter. The numbers always grow because everybody, if they go out to do something, they
I'll
bring
be
a
honest
pal.
with you. When I was up in Scotland, I was quite shocked about the migrant crisis up there. To be honest with you,
I think they just thought we were just going to sit down and take it. To be fair, I think that's kind of the atmosphere in Aberdeen. Because the people, that's the reason I've done it. Because I couldn't believe the amount of people that weren't realising what was happening. Some people were saying, "What's it got to do with me?" But it's got heaps to do with us.
For me, walking around Glasgow and seeing these little migrant hotels right round by these bars with young ladies, I was shocked.
Am I right in saying, AY, that you covered the Bruce Hotel in East Kilbride?
Yeah, I covered that one. Yeah.
Yeah. What was the outcome of that, mate? Did you speak to any locals at all?
Nah, it's I didn't speak to any locals, but I spoke to locals since. A lot of locals, if I'm going to be honest with you, a lot of locals don't really generally want to be on camera.
Yeah,
and that's a problem.
Yeah, John was very lucky.
That's a problem.
Yeah, John was very lucky when he were up.
But all I will say about the protest, because I'm going to have to shoot, because we're going to be doing the flag soon. But all I'm going to say about the protest is this: just keep going, keep persevering with it. Yeah, it doesn't matter how many people that you get there. Yeah, just keep persevering with it, and remember, peaceful protest and boots on the ground does actually work. And Epping is a prime example for this. They persevered with it. Peaceful protest, and they got the job done. But we haven't got the job done. We've only got the job like a quarter of the way done. We're just won a little battle. We've still got to win some more battles before we can start winning wars. But we'll get there.
Yeah.
But I think
we're learning 100%, mate.
I think it's a learning process because the left have been so good at it for so many years. Do you know what I mean?
Do you know what Martin said? Then it's about time. Yeah, that it's about time that. Like, there's a few people that obviously we're not stupid. You know what I mean? People need to get a little bit more organised, don't they? Which is exactly what Epping's come out with today. Yeah, Epping's going to start supporting other protests. Yeah, the job is, like I said, the battle is won, but the war is not. But
yeah, I think for me, like when they done the Great National Strike, I know that a lot of people attended that around the country. And for me, when they done it in Glasgow was an absolute just disaster. I wasn't there, but I seen the videos, and if you want to call them the left or whatever, or the government puppets, they came out in their numbers, and they penned them in at the wrong place because they were supposed to be at Buchanan Gallery steps. They put them outside Buchanan Gallery, the shopping centre, and it was horrible because I had my friend, a couple of my mate's mum was at it, and it was horrible. She says, I'm there for my grandkids and everything, and I was getting hurled abuse at by these people that are supposed to be, welcome and loving, and says they were calling us everything under the sun. And again, the mainstream media targeted them all. But I was speaking to my mate the other day, and he said to me, he says, the thing is, it's not that they're the majority. It's the fact that people aren't getting up off their backside and starting to go out to do these things. So I'm hoping that more people start to do that. And it is about keeping it peaceful. Always keep it peaceful. And if you do see any banners that are out of order, try and get them out as soon as possible. And anybody that's attending these things, anything you see like that, get it out. But the Glasgow one for the Great National Strike was really an eye-opener to me, going, why is Glasgow allowing this? But aye, I've watched your videos, mate. They were good.
Thank you, buddy.
It's a legend. AY, you maybe do me the obligement of one day we'll maybe get a wee 10-15 minutes together and do a wee podcast. You can maybe tell us about what you found out when you came up to Scotland as as someone who's not from Scotland, and how your thoughts on it and stuff like that. So it'd be good to catch up with you.
I was actually shocked, Craig, at the way that the staff actually treated them, because they were basically saying that you're not welcome as an Englishman. I mean, am I right in saying that? Am I wrong?
Yeah, like the one at East Kilbride, the Bruce, is it? Yeah, the Bruce Hotel. That lady in there, like, she was a little bit out of order, to be honest with you. Like, by the end of the day, look, she can have entire opinions. You know what I mean? Same as we're entitled to our opinions. You know, like, and that's just the way I look at it, mate. To be honest.
Yeah, man.
Well, you enjoy your flags anyway, mate. It's good effort.
What's that, mate?
Good effort, mate. I'm saying, hope you do well with your flags. It's a great effort.
Oh, mate, listen, there's about 100 of us, 150 of us, and I'm not live streaming it or anything. You know, I'm just going to be, this is my community, guys. You know, like, this is where I'm from. This is where I'm born and bred. Yeah, we have to stand up for what's ours. But,
yeah, there's
thank you thank you for
Do you know the Blade Runner? Do you know the Blade Runner, AY?
Mate, you don't need that.
Do I know the what,
Yeah,
buddy?
Matthew Hardy.
Do you know the Blade Runner, Matt Hardy, mate?
Matt Hardy, that's it.
Yeah, I don't know him, but I know who he is. Yeah,
he's a geezer that gets up and gets on it, man. He doesn't. Matt Hardy and the Blade Runners, they don't mess about, man. Matt Hardy's a man that you want to recruit, man. I'm telling you.
He's so funny. He came on the face once, and it's when he winds up that James geezer. You all right, James? You all right, James? How you doing today? The trousers still not fitting you?
He's best, mate. There's a message here. I think it's for you, AY. He's just
I need to shoot.
Bruce has received a good few phone calls after that video, mate. So I think it's caused a reaction here.
Yeah. Craig, just get me on one of my DMs. I've got a couple of mobs actually that are Scottish, Jenny and Lynn.
No, Jenny.
No, Jenny.
I wonder if it's the same Jenny that comes in here.
Maybe she's a mod on my channel.
Aye, top man, mate. Top man.
Yeah. If it is the same one, if it is the same one, and you need me, just get a message to her, and she can get a message to me. All right.
Yeah, she's already popped up. Yes, it's me.
Yeah. All right.
There you go, mate. Top man.
There you go,
appreciate you coming. I really do.
Go on, buddy.
Be good.
Have a good day, mate.
Cheers.
Speak to you later, mate. Catch up with the weekend.
Martin, I'll give you a buzz tomorrow, Martin. All right.
Yeah, no worries, guys. Yeah, let me know how it goes tonight, mate. Yeah. Sweet.
So we've got Connor. Connor's had terrible problems in and out all night. So hopefully he's backing out. And we've also, I'm conscious that we've got the DGR media who's not had a chance to speak yet. So Connor, DGR, one in Falkirk, one for Aberdeen.
I'm hoping that you can hear me this time, mate.
You're loud and clear, Connor. It must be your face. It must just be when you put your camera on.
Mate, aye. How's
So
things today, guys?
All right, mate. Good. So what's next, Falkirk, buddy?
We've just released another date. We're going for right outside the MP Ewan Steinbank's office on the 30th at 12 o'clock. But I'm also keen. I'm quite happy with the kind of news we got in Falkirk as well today. Hopefully, it does go down the same route as Epping, with the Falkirk Council releasing the statement saying they're going to look at legal action on shutting the Cladden Hotel down, what we protested at on Saturday. I think we'd be quite happy with that, but it doesn't stop there. But we need to kind of push on. It's not just that. The next thing, as it's already been spoke about from other guys in this, where do they go? That's the next question, Craig.
Well, yeah, but that's another problem. You know, that'll be a smaller problem because, as I said earlier before you come on, mate, if they close that hotel, even if they'll either put them in a different hotel or they'll put them in social housing. Now, if they put them in another hotel that's in the middle of an industrial estate, then no children are in danger. You know, the communities aren't they going to get affected as they plonk them in the middle of the one in Falkirk, which is right in the middle of a lot of houses. And if they disperse them even more and put them into social housing, well, there isn't any in Scotland because the government told us we've got a national housing crisis. So, and then it will put more pressure onto the Home Office and the Labour government, who are in charge of migration, to stop them coming in. So,
Exactly.
I know it's, but, I don't see a negative, to be honest with you.
No, it's definitely a positive in what's happened today, and hopefully they just continue through with that. But there is obviously permissions been put in for another hotel owned by the same Douglas Hannigan that owns the Cladden Hotel and leases it out to a company, Mac Limited. And that permission got given a couple of months ago from Falkirk Council for that building to change to a hotel. But as far as I'm aware, it was a single occupancy hotel. So I think we're going to continue at the moment doing what we're doing, but we're also keen on what we had spoken about with John as well. John's in the room, about doing a larger kind of unite at some point in the future.
Well, it's going to be in the very near future of everybody uniting together. I think we need to bring everybody, because we're getting all these kind of big, I don't know if you want to call them protest rallies, whatever it is, in the whole of the UK, but Scotland, we've not had it. I've been trying my hardest for a while to get a decent location. Me and Craig, I mean, you've seen the equipment, Craig, yesterday. And I think it's time to bring up not just single issues that we've got, because there are many issues that the government are ignoring. Obviously, what I've been speaking about for many years now. And it kind of shows to me, again, I always go back to it, people that have been affected by the JAG, you're begging all these MSPs, all these people for help. You can't go any higher than the Prime Minister. And I asked the Prime Minister on the TV, who was Rishi Sunak at the time, will you help these people? And again, there's no answer. And then since then, I've started to see that they're ignoring this, they're ignoring farmers, they're ignoring my cause, they're ignoring everybody, guys. So for me, unity, bring us together, and it's people just concerned about the future for us all. So I mean, Connor, dates will be announced hopefully very, very soon. We're just waiting for a wee email back and we'll see what happens. Bring the noise.
We'll take it from there, definitely.
We've got Bobby in. It's something about your webcam or something, Bobby. So I don't know if you've got a problem with that, but if your mic's working, we should be able to hear you. And we've not heard from DGR yet, and we only heard about 3 seconds from Denzel. So any of you guys want to grab the mic next, crack on.
Yeah, I was just about to say we're going through a process just now. Everybody's trying to fight their own fight. They've all got your own causes. But that just means nothing ever happens because we're all fighting too disparate. We need to get under one banner, one cause, fight that, win it, and then we can go back again. Because at the moment, the government's just laughing at us.
Well, to be fair, I'm taking a lot.
I understand you're doing an awful lot, Craig.
No, I'm not talking about me. I'm talking. I take a lot of encouragement from what happened in Epping. Because we're starting to see a result there. We're starting to see results with the co-ops. The co-op made that decision. We also seen the Supreme Court with the transgender issue, basically saying, no, common sense and logic. A man's a man, a woman's a woman. So bit by bit, I can see the tide turning. And I'll tell you what else I see the tide turning with me. For too long, for decades, for all my life, the only people we seen in the streets in any regularity and any numbers were the left. That was it, right? You'd see the odd thing for the right now and again. But now the tide and even that's turning, and we're getting, I'm not saying folk that are right, I'm just saying folk that are not far left are suddenly going, well, I've got concerns, I want to be listened to, and I'm going to go out in the streets. And I think that's another massive positive, and I think that's a lot of what's happening with the left. They kind of don't know how to cope with this, because they're used to having the soul right protesting, and now they kind of don't know how to react. And I just want to keep driving. And I'm not sure what the best is, right? Because if you go and you say, right, today we have got a problem with that issue, let's go and protest that. and then tomorrow an issue with that thing, let's go and protest that. I don't know if that is more advantageous or getting up on a stage and saying we've got a million problems. The shotgun approach, I kind of think it's the sniper approach. Let's find one issue at a time. Let's go and deal with that. Now, if that we deal with it Saturday, we deal with something else on Sunday, I kind of think that might be the way to get a better result, because the shotgun approach, you might hit loads of targets, but you'll maybe not take any of them out. You'll take them out with a snipe. So, yeah, I kind of think that's my thoughts on it, Bobby. But I don't think we can ignore any issue, because whatever your issue is important to you. And we might all have the same issues. We might have the same 4 or 5 issues, but we might prioritise them different. So to say, let's just take one, and we've all got to unite around that. Well, what happens if your number 1 or somebody else's number 4 or 5? You know, so I kind of, it's a toughie. And I understand. I hear what you're saying, 100%. Hear what you're saying. I'm just not sure if you could ever get that and just say, let's ignore everything else. You know. And
I went to the one-day strike in Glasgow, and that was an embarrassment.
It wasn't well advertised, though. This is the problem.
Yep.
These protests that are getting put together, right? Some of them are just kind of random, or they're not getting them out enough to different, like the Peterhead one, for instance, right? That was a success, and the reason it was a success is because it got advertised, it got battered the life out of it. It was all over social media. Craig fucking promoted it. John promoted it. The speakers were announced who was going to turn up and speak at it. If you're just going to do a random protest, don't expect much. If you want to do something, you look at Falkirk at the weekend. Falkirk was another example of what you do if you do it right. I mean, that wasn't just a couple of people that turned up there. You know what I mean? That was a good crowd that turned up there, because it was planned, it was organised, it was advertised, it was promoted, and everybody got involved. And I know what you're saying. You know what I mean? Oh, that one was an embarrassment. There was one in Edinburgh a couple of weeks ago that was another embarrassment. There was about 10 folk turned up there, again, because nobody's promoting these things properly. You promote these protests, people will turn up, right? And that's what you've got to understand.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And
they've got to be promoted in the right way, definitely.
And that's it. That's thing, Bobby. I mean, we've just got to keep going. Look, I'm like you as well, right? But the fact of the matter, each and everybody up here right now is interested in different things, right? I go around checking hotels, and I document them, and I post them online, right? You've got Craig, who covers a number of topics. You've got John, who turns Gino De Campo there in the corner. He does a number of topics. You know what I mean? You've got Martin again, that does a number of topics, although he's not up in Scotland, right? You've got Stephen Rennie, who covered a number of topics up with the Peterhead thing, right? Everybody's fighting a battle, but the fact of the matter is, if we all take a part of that battle, we're going to win that war. Do you know what I mean? And that's what we've got to keep doing. We've just got to keep pushing. We've right now
pushing against it.
We've got the upper hand now, right? And the reason I'm saying we've got the upper hand is because every one of these protests that I'm turning up at right now, these left-wing nutbags are getting less and less and less, because they don't know where to turn up. Do you know what I mean? They're absolutely crackpots. Yeah. I mean, these lunatics that want to come out and stand up and protect the nonces that are standing in the hotels. So we just need to keep applying that pressure. Sorry,
Kevin.
They've got no answers when you question them about it. And I think it's just important to add, like, obviously, when you do protest, you've got to have a reason to. Like, you can't just go and protest, let's say, outside the migrant hotel because you want it shut down, right? Because that's just not going to get you anywhere. I mean, if we go back to the root of it, like, I can only really talk about Epping, for instance, is like, because, you know, women and children are unsafe because, one, these men are unvetted, and two, they're committing these heinous crimes, you know, sexual assaults, rape, all sorts. And that is the reason
why the same thing that's happening in Falkirk as well.
Yeah, so you need that reason. It's not, you know, you can't just go up, you know, because these migrant hotels have been around for years. It's nothing new, you know, so you can't just rock up, and because the government don't listen. Well, they don't listen anyway. But the only way you're going to make a stand is by having that actual reason, and you know, having your women and children and families unsafe in an area is a good enough reason. But you've got to just be able to evidence that as well, which by protesting we are.
Well, you just look at Saturday
Yeah,
again.
yeah,
That
sure.
hotel in Falkirk, the Cladden. One of the migrants inside the hotel flashed his bits while the protest was going on. So that goes to show the level of people that are in these hotels. But there's a more disturbing thing at play here, and I've just picked up on it the last couple of times, and it's thanks to Gino again on the panel. I mean, I checked a hotel a couple of weeks ago, and I found something, and I couldn't post it online because I wasn't sure. And then I went out the other night and I checked another place yesterday, and it's the same thing. And what they're doing now is they're actually mixing these illegal migrants in with homeless people, homeless natives. So what they're doing, by doing that, one, they don't need to announce that hotel and on my doorstep because it's homeless people from their country that are within that building. And two, anybody with half a brain's not going to turn up and rock up and protest outside a hotel when there's maybe vulnerable women and children sitting in the hotel too. So they're playing a blinder. Do you know what I mean? They're just, our governments are gaslighting us and they're lying to us and they're snidey, and that's what they're doing. But do you know what? Any of these hotels that we know that have got men in that building, then do you know what? Hell mend you if you don't go out there and protest. Because Peterhead's showing the way, Aberdeen's showing the way, Falkirk's certainly showing the way. I don't see any in Edinburgh, and there's about 6 hotels in Edinburgh that are full of these people and not one protest. You've got Glasgow. There's hundreds of there's loads of these hotels, not one protest. So you take your lead for the people that are starting doing things, and you start finding your voices. You get to these hotels and you start telling the people in your area, the councils and the MSP for that area, we're not happy about this. Get them out and move them out. They don't belong here. They're a threat to your communities. Get them out and move them on, because we don't want them here any longer.
I mean, it seems to be. Carry on.
There's a question, a point there for Vaughan saying, let's start a petition, hand to Holyrood. We, the people of Scotland, want no more immigrants or so-called students. I've been asked to go along and speak at a rally that's just been announced, Vaughan, on that very thing. So, just, you know, I'm trying to find the date on the DM that I get sent today. I'm sure it's a midweek one. It's like a Wednesday or something. I don't know why. There must be something on Holyrood that day. So just let me skim through my.
Sorry, Craig. While you're doing that, I need to jump off. I've got Craig. I've got another call at 8. Sorry, my wife. And then I'll try and jump back on. I'll try and jump back on there, mate. Yeah. Thank you, guys. Hopefully I'll speak to you guys in a bit anyway. I won't be that long. All right.
Top man. Appreciate it.
Cheers, mate.
Yeah, top man. Cheers, mate. Cheers, mate. So the thing is, let me just get it up. Yeah, I'll just try and share it in the room. This will cause me all sorts of problems. I'm hopeless with this stuff. Share screen, my Twitter, share. So that should come up now. So why is it not coming up? Oh, there we go. So the topic is enough is enough, and rally outside Holyrood. I stand corrected. Saturday, the 6th of September, 12 for a 12:30 start. Protect our country, protect our kids. Fairness in housing, homes for Scots. Stop the boats asylum frauds out. So I'll be there at that. I'll be talking at that, and if that floats your boat, Avon, we'll see you over there. So Astro again, it's coming up here. Can I connect you to the room because I'm mic stroke cam not connected? So I don't know what's going on there. I'll take that back off. So that'll answer that question, and I take it you'll be happy with that, Kev, because you keep saying we should be protesting at Holyrood. So there we go. We're going to Holyrood, mate.
I'm delighted with that one. Look, I know. Look, ideally I would have preferred that to be on a Thursday when they're sitting in there. But do you know what? I'll take it now. No, just hear me out, right? I mean, I'm happy,
man.
Right, but here's the thing, right? And I'm going to say this, right? I know a number of people in Edinburgh have been saying to me, we need a protest, we need a protest, we need one in Edinburgh. Well, here's your chance, right? And see if I hear any of these people that have been asking me these questions and they don't turn up on that day, then do you know what? You've got no room to talk, right? Because if you've been asking for the very thing, for people to put a protest on your doorstep, right in the building that's causing us the misery, and you don't turn up, then do you know what? You don't say a thing to me ever again, because I'm sick of it. Because I believe that's where we should be going. Right? I know we're going to Glasgow all the time. Eh? But I mean, I know we're going to Glasgow all the time, right? There's a reason. What's that? I keep getting into it. I couldn't hear anything, but we just need to get.
I'm loving it. Just
you hear me, aye?
We can hear you, Craig. Craig not played for the Wi-Fi again, man.
I know, man. He's running that thing up.
Craig get his Wi-Fi upgraded today. I've got to do a speed test on it. Shut up, you with your Nokia 1690. He's got a Nokia 1690. That's how he can't put his face.
You're still doing a dial-up with your internet, man. Craig thinks he's got fibre optic Wi-Fi, and he's got a dial-up now. Do you know what I mean? That's what he's running hang it off. But listen,
hilarious, mate.
I just need to quickly jump out for half an hour. But what I will say,
we're on waiting for it, Kev. What I will say,
cliffhanger there. Was that an EastEnders moment there?
What? Oh, mate, that was class.
Coming in the next episode.
To be fair, that's it, isn't it? I got new Wi-Fi put in the day, and they put a cable straight from outside. So it's meant to be super duper, but the guy did say, he says it'll sometimes take 5-6 days to all levels out and stuff. So I think it might be my end. It's a wee bit unstable. So I don't apologise to. Oh no, it's saying connection fairly good. That's smashing. Once we've part Denzel off for half an hour. Is Denzel away? Are you away, Kev? Are you physically? Yeah, he's gone. Right. So, DGR, I tried to bring you up about half an hour ago. Kev get right in about it. Couldn't get him off the stage. What have you been up to recently?
Well, Sunday, they had the lifeboats open day, so I went to go and film that. And I had quite a few people recognise me, obviously, from going to these hotels and filming them. And I had one, I think she was a grandparent, came up to me, saying she walked past, the side I was standing on, and she stood about for a while. And then as she went to go and continue with her walk, and this was a local, she was getting called a fascist and all the other names for literally just walking over the street by the other side of the protest. And she started arguing with them, saying, I'm literally just a local walking on my street to get to my house. And the police had to grab her and basically take her away because they all just started ganging up on her, apparently. That's what she was telling me. And it's that's just an old woman.
She walked across the street like a fascist. Well, she stepped across the street.
It was crazy because she was an old woman and she was just telling me she lives in the local area and she had no clue it was happening basically. So she just wanted to know what was going on and what everyone was there for. So she stood at the side we were standing on for a while, and then as she went to walk past, they all just apparently started ganging up on her, and it's crazy, But it was also you were speaking about signs.
I'm not excited. About the what, sorry?
How you doing, man? Well, they were you were speaking about the signs. I think Stephen might have seen this as well. Some of their signs they had.
All right. Yeah. Can you hear me this time?
So I'm going to Dan quick right before we lose him again. Right, he's been up and down like a yo-yo. He's even tougher than Connor to get a hold of. So how are you, Dan?
It's all good, man.
So how are you, Dan?
Oh, no bad.
So what you've been up to
went on a wee
recently?
excursion today, mate. Did you get my videos, aye?
Oh, sorry,
Can you hear us all right?
It's the accent. I'm used to talking to Jenny. Sorry. Aye, I seen
Aye,
them.
mate.
Aye.
Hold your waist,
So if you
dude.
want,
Oh, that's on the background.
well, I'm right. Jenny said Daniel might come on, so I'm expecting Daniel, right? So, right. So share with everybody what you've been up to today, because you've been keeping me informed as you've been out and about, and tell the public where you were, what you seen, how it went for you.
Aye, so we got a wee tip off that there was going to be bus loads, it's like going down to a wee town and the Gillespie, and it turns out that there was no bus loads apparently, but we went down there and it was really quiet, and we managed to talk to a few of the locals and things like that. But they all said that it was quiet, that there was no troubles, that there was nothing like that. And then I managed to find a local, and they gave us a wee tour round about the place. It's one of the videos that I had sent you. But it turns out there's a lot more than what we're led on to believe, because you'll see in some of the videos that I've sent, there was like 5 or 6 different houses, and they've all been filled. And there's no curtains up in the windows, no nothing like that. It looks like empty houses, and apparently they're filled with them. We met one of the wee migrant guys. So started speaking to him, and he could barely speak a word of English. So it was a rather interesting day. They also said he said that he was actually from Afghanistan.
Are you finding it's all men? Are you finding it's all men in your area? Are you finding women and children, families?
It's mainly men. There's apparently we spoke to a wee old couple, and they said that there was lovely wee kids as well, which is always a good sign, I suppose. But there was only a couple of kids. Now, if there's only a couple of kids for like 4 or 5 different houses, that's not exactly a great sign, is it?
What age are you seeing? What kind of age are we talking?
She said primary school ages.
No,
she didn't really say.
For the men,
she didn't really say like what ages they were and that. She just said primary school age.
So what did you when you were out there? If you try to describe what you seen, Dan, the way it appeared to me with the footage and stuff you were sending me, very, very small village in Lanarkshire, just off the M74. Probably something like 40, 50 houses maximum.
Maybe, aye. So the main thing is, like, a lot of the houses were being demolished as well.
And the feeling is that... Seriously?
Yeah. I see, it was, what's the name of it? Hillview Crescent. So when you go up the hill, when you look on the left-hand side, there was actually, they fields, they all had houses in them.
Wow. Yeah, because there seemed to be a gap as you went up that hill where there was no houses, and then there was like maybe half a dozen at the top where there seemed to be a sort of play park or something. So is he feeling that they're preparing quite a lot, maybe about a quarter of the houses in that small village, getting them prepared by the council for potentially come?
It looks like it. We managed to speak to a wee guy that stays there, and he said that the council were there for a good few months just renovating all the houses to prepare them for them. And when we went there the day, there was also still 2 council vans.
Aye, and when you think of a small community in a place that's got about 40 houses, it's just bonkers, isn't it? You might find half a dozen or 10 of them to 10 that they're just getting put to a certain demographic. That'll have some impact on the local, and not necessarily in a violent way if it's no single men and it's no fighting age men, but it still could have compound impacts onto the locals.
Oh, aye. The crazy thing is, like, it is literally in the middle of nowhere. So, I mean, if you go through Douglas and you just keep going, it's like maybe 2 mile, 3 mile down the road, and it's just fields for miles. But most of the people in there, they're all just wee old people. So it's, if they go, then who's going to get the hussies? And so also, we were told by one of the wee guys that there was quite a few people in the surrounding towns that was trying to get these hussies, and they were told no because they were already occupied. And that was months before they were even getting renovated.
Aye, they've got them earmarked, so you're not getting them.
Right. And it's a good
interesting stuff. Well, you need to keep us informed how that wee investigation. Aye, yeah,
Oh,
it's
certainly
a
will,
decent
mate.
size. We need to keep us informed, Dan, and I appreciated the journey today. Keep me informed what was going on and sending the videos and stuff, and we can hopefully get on top of that one for you. So get somebody new to the room.
Yeah.
GB National for you tonight, GB.
Yeah. So I'm one of the main people helping organise
How have
the
you-
broadcast
have you-
in Newcastle outside of the Newbridge Hotel.
Yeah.
That hotel is housing over 300 legal migrants.
And how's that
building-
been for you?
What did you say?
300.
300 legal migrants. But that
How many
building-
rooms has the thing got?
I believe 186, but I believe multiple of them are like, there's multiple migrants in each room, like bunk beds. But that building as well, it's right opposite student accommodation. Literally just across the road is student accommodation. Literally a 1 second walk. And that's where they've decided to put these migrants. And what's happened already?
So
though, they've
how's
started
the-
following
how's
like,
the-
back to the student
the North-
accommodation? So the migrants have already started following the students back to the student accommodation. It's a massive issue. It isn't just like a couple of students who've been followed. Like I've spoke to a countless amount of students who are getting followed from the migrants in that hotel. And when women and children are walking past the hotel, the migrants are like harassing them, like sexually harassing them when they're walking past. And nothing is being done about it.
Whereabouts is that, mate, out of curiosity?
Newcastle.
Is it? I've got a mate that lives in Newcastle as well, and I've asked him. I've not heard much in Newcastle yet.
I went
the
for
Newcastle
my son's
City Council
graduation.
is like
It's right in the town centre.
Literally a 4-minute walk from like the direct, from the monument, which is directly in the middle of the Newcastle city centre. So this is like right in the city centre. But Newcastle City Council, they've released like a statement today saying because of what happened down Epping, they're basically saying that they're not going to push this to like the courts to close the hotel. This was like just today as well. So they want to keep this hotel open to like keep housing like all these different migrants.
And what's the rest of the northeast like? I mean, is it a problem just in Newcastle, or is Sunderland, or any of the smaller places, Durham, etc.? Are they, Whitley Bays, Tynemouth, are they okay, or is it just sort of Newcastle?
There's one in Gateshead as well. That's housing families. So like I kind of normally stay away from them ones. But the one like the Newbridge Hotel in the Newcastle City Centre, that's all males. There's been multiple different migrant hotels in Newcastle. Some of them have closed, but this one's like the main one that's been open for like a couple of years now. And what's happened is like so Newcastle's the northeast has been receiving the most migrants out of anywhere else in the country. So what's happened in Sunderland, there's been a 523% increase in the social housing waiting list because of all the migrants being sent to the northeast, because like the houses are cheaper up here. So they've just been sending all the migrants to the northeast. So it's a really big issue. But a lot of people tend to like overlook the issues from the northeast. Like I believe most of the attention seems to be like focused on down south. But once you go further up north, it tends to get like a little bit worse in terms of like more migrants.
Well, I think as soon as you get out of London and you hit as soon as you hit any place that's not as populated as London, when you put even one or two hotels along with young British men that don't really know our levels of standards and things and common decency, it becomes a bigger problem, because two hotels in Newcastle are, Perth, which is one of Glasgow, Scotland's smallest cities, has got 4, I believe. I mean, you put that amount in a small concentration, it's actually got a worse effect than sticking maybe 10 hotels in London, because obviously we're not as heavily and densely populated. And it's beggars belief. And I think, why did they not? They mixed them about. Oh, maybe losing.
You've even seen it in some of the smaller towns where they put like there'll be like a small town of a couple of hundred people, and all of a sudden they just put like a migrant hotel in there. Then these migrants, like there's more migrants than the people in the smaller towns. Like these people are outnumbered by these migrants in the small towns.
Yeah, and as Dan was just explaining there, when you're even setting some social housing for in a small village with 40 houses, and you seem to be setting between 5 and 10 aside for this, it's going to have a massive impact. And it may not be, people getting pestered and, teenagers and young girls and females being scared, but it would still have a big impact on any community if you change the demographic almost overnight in such a small rural community. I mean, Stephen, it's in the top of the panel there, he organised one in Peterhead. And when he first reached out looking for help and asking if we could go up and support it and talk at it, it just blew my mind, because Peterhead is 1 hour drive north of Aberdeen. And you think, if they're getting affected up there in a small rural community, which was, until recent times, a thriving fishing port, it's just bonkers. You think, well, how's that even a thing? Why would you do that? Why would you put even a small number into somewhere like Peterhead that makes such a devastating impact? The same with Falkirk. We've got Connor up in the top right of the screen, and he's organised 2 very well attended ones there. Falkirk.
The reason is because they don't give a shit about us.
Yeah. But I've even seen it as well. There's been like a lot of so Newcastle isn't even that far from like Sunderland or Scotland. And there's a lot of posts now on Facebook in Scotland about girls being followed home and stuff, or people taking pictures of kids in parks. It's been like a massive change all of a sudden. Like it was only like 3 years ago, you wouldn't even see a post like this. Now you're seeing them like every week or every month. It's now like a regular thing.
What I've got to say for Falkirk's point of view would be, it took us many months to actually get any kind of accountability to the guys that were lifted for the sexual offences, for it to be even released to us, to know that it was from a migrant from that hotel. And from that point, then we just started getting the ball rolling on protests. I just wanted to ask GB National, is there any offences that have been committed from that hotel yet? If it's been open for 2 years and there's kind of that amount of 300 in them.
So with that hotel, what I believe is happening, it's not just Newcastle, but what I believe is happening is like migrant crimes are being covered up, like, to ease tensions. Because if all of a sudden they start like releasing, like saying they've arrested so and so for Gray, like who's living in a migrant hotel, there'll be like a lot of tension, and like the numbers for the protests will start increasing, and they don't want that. So I believe like a lot of these crimes are being covered up as well. But what's happened in Newcastle outside of the Newbridge Hotel? There was a student. So this was like a student as well who's been targeted by an illegal migrant outside that hotel. It wasn't a migrant from that hotel, but what tends to happen is like outside these hotels, like other migrants come and they kind of congregate with the people living in the hotel. So this was a student who was on a night out in the Newcastle city centre, and she was unconscious, not like literally right in front of the hotel, and some illegal migrant carried on to a secluded alleyway and like raped her, then robbed her, then just left her there in the street. And this was a student as well. Like these migrants are targeting the students in Newcastle.
So I take it the route I would, has anybody actually put into the police and asked them if there was any reports on the day that was mentioned and what the action's been taken to do that? Because if there's no accountability being taken and nobody's actually, when they're reporting the crimes, and we've seen it, I've had numerous reports for different things that have happened, even to the fact of migrants hanging around the back of a children's home in Falkirk, directly behind the Cladden Hotel. And when we've done asked about the reports being made, yes, the report was made by the staff at that point, but the police found no criminality had occurred. So it's taking that person to just start doing the things, contacting the right people to get the answers, And then once you've got the facts, then you need to go, right, well, there's the facts. We're protesting against the facts and get them out.
But even with the Newbridge Hotel in Newcastle, like, so I was looking at posts on it. There's constant police presence outside of the Newbridge Hotel, like with Northumbria police attendant incidents at the Newbridge Hotel or outside of it. So there's like a lot of issues happening because of the migrants in this hotel. But like with the incident I mentioned about that student being like carried into a secluded alleyway, that was a couple of years ago, and that made the news. But what I believe is happening now is like they're not making the news anymore. They're trying to like keep it hidden, and I'm not sure the best way of going about it. Maybe like a FOIA request or something to Northumbria police to try and see how many reports they're responding to outside of this hotel or at this hotel, because I believe they're covering up the crimes.
Yep. The freedom of information requests, they don't work, because then they just come back with the same old carry on. It would take over the £600 thresholds to manually go through the database to find out the residence of each individual crime that was committed. I've went through all of that as well, and I've realised that they will try and cover up things or give other answers rather than a straight and direct answer. It all goes back to what I think somebody mentioned at in the chat earlier. The one at Falkirk on Saturday, the protest that I had, there was one arrest that was made at that on the day, and it was for an indecent exposure, and that was actually one of the migrants. And what we're finding out today is that there is a potential that it had already kind of committed another sexual offence between, I think it was maybe June the 1st and August the 16th at the same hotel. And it was about, basically, that was never mentioned. We've not even knew about that other offence, but the courts had bailed him back to that exact hotel, which then allowed him to expose himself at the windows to the protesters the other day.
Did anyone get that on record?
So he's already the person has already been charged with it, I believe, and multiple people on the comments of my page has reported to us that the police has got in contact with them due to comments they've made, and they're looking for statements for it. But I just believe the same thing will happen. They'll just bail the person right back to that hotel anyway, and I'm waiting to find out if that is correct, that that's what happened.
He's probably released on bail now anyways. He won't be in jail or in the police station. He'll be on bail already. Probably back in that same hotel.
Definitely. That's what we're thinking anyway.
Incredible, was it? So, Stephen, did you say the guy had already committed an offence and was back in the cell when he started exposing himself?
Sorry, that was me. That was me, mate. So basically, the Daily Record had released an article today, this afternoon. I've put it on the page, but it basically had said that Saif Ajid of Falkirk appeared at court on Monday. He was charged with intentionally exposing his genitals in a sexual manner to other people with the intention of that the other person would see them without that person's consent. That was the one that happened on Saturday. But also in the same article, it was that he was also charged with coercing someone into being present during a sexual activity between June the 1st and August the 16th at the same hotel as well. But he was released again on bail and the case was continued. Wow. So they basically, we never knew anything about that one that he had, the one that he had done previously, up until we found out that today.
Unbelievable. But you would think that if he was released on bail, he's broke his bail conditions. So hopefully, if the police can get evidence that that actually happened on Saturday, then they'll not be getting out again. Surely.
Exactly. Well, I'd say if you're committing the kind of crimes and you're on the system to go through the asylum claim, then at that point you should be automatically rejected from that and deported. It's quite as simple as that.
Has this story made like mainstream news at all? Have they like not talked about it?
Yeah. So if you're trying to seek asylum, you broke the law twice. And
because normally like mainstream news like, tends to say like silent on the migrant crimes. Do you know what I mean? Like, clearly they've got an agenda. Do you know what I mean? It's the same in Newcastle. They tend
That
to
really
ignore
does
the
beg a
migrant
belief
crimes,
that that
focus on
guy's
like the crimes of the British people.
It just shows you that obviously the
I'm having a bit of, I
if
think
they
I'm
had
having a
acted
connection
correctly
problem.
at the time of his first offence, then he shouldn't have even been there at that point anyway, because at that point he should have been put into some sort of detention centres or whatever it is if they pose a direct risk and have been completely charged through the court at that.
Which country is from? Do you know his nationality?
Huh?
No, that's the thing. They'll not release that anyway.
So what's next for the North East, GB? What are you up to next?
Well, there's the protest coming up this Saturday. But what's interesting as well, with the counter protesters, I've been looking at like who some of them are, and a lot of them are like councillors for places like Elsick and ex-councillors for like the Monument. The Monument in Newcastle has the 4th highest crime rate in the entire country. The 4th highest crime rate. That's an issue that needs to be like addressed. And this is the migrants from the Newbridge Hotel are harassing people at the Monument in Newcastle. So what, like, but he's over here supporting the migrants who are targeting these girls at the Monument. So in that sense, it's pretty stupid. But this same person also was outside court supporting someone who was convicted of stalking a vulnerable woman from Elsick. So I created a video about that, highlighting these issues, and these like counter protesters have been like pretty silent since like they haven't announced the counter protest for this Saturday. But I imagine the will still be there.
That's incredible. There's Michael showing me and John gifting other people in the chat memberships to the channels. Thanks very much, guys. That's people that are countering you when you're down there. I mean, are these the type of people that would be out protesting about something this weekend? It might be Free Palestine, or it might be trans rights, or we'll just be anti-fascists this week. It's kind of the same that's been on in Scotland.
Is there not any protests like up Scotland, like against the migrant hotels?
No, what I'm saying to you is the counter protesters, right? See the counter protesters we're facing.
Mm-hmm.
Independence on out going for Free Palestine, about the next weekend protesting about boycott Israel, and it's just a different thing. So yous are there and we'll go and protest against him this week.
Yes,
well,
but are these paid protesters? Are they getting paid? Because I already found some protest groups in America getting paid as much as 85 grand a year to go and protest every day.
Opens your eyes to a bigger picture when you start looking at who's involved in them protests against you, though, doesn't it?
It does indeed. But then you're looking at a protest group that's quite happy to sit there and go, "We're with the paedophiles. Long live the paedophiles. We're mad."
But I'd say even with the grooming
guys in the
gangs,
chat, could you do a favor?
I'm sure there was a protest against the grooming gangs and like stand up to racism, like counter the protest. They'll counter any protest as long as it doesn't like if it doesn't fit their agenda.
Mm-hmm. Guys in the chat, could you do me a favour? I seem to be having connection problems here. Could you let me know if the stream's good by putting 1 in the comments, and if it's poor, put 2 in the comments, please, because it's going to about 30 seconds ago. It was just all over the place for me. So I did get my Wi-Fi changed today, and it's a super duper all singing, all dancing package. But the guy did say it might take about a week for the router to start settling down. So I'm conscious that it might be a shit. Also plenty ones. It must just be mine. That's fine.
We don't need you, Craig.
Right, sorry guys. Right, so I was what? Sorry.
I'm saying, we don't need you, Craig.
Sorry, mate. No, I was just conscious there that it was maybe a bit shitty for the viewers, and I can handle it if it's a bit all over the place. So
I don't know what I missed,
it's
Craig. I had
just-
to
I'm
dive
cool
there.
with that.
You get any calls, mate?
Nothing, mate, apart. No, you've no missed anything, John. The part was right. It was Kev that was talking most of the night. Where is he?
I'm saying, have you got any calls? Have you got anybody who's coming up?
What's
Any
it, you-
calls?
No, yeah.
I think Ed might join in. I think Ed might join in a bit.
Right,
Craig.
I'm just going to take a wee. Yeah, top man. I'm just going to, for you that have been here as long as me for the 1.5 hours, I'm going to take a wee comfort break for 56 seconds. I'm going to show you a little advert. And just as John was saying there, quite prophetic, because it's about what to do if you want to go to the show. Hi there, welcome to a new concept for the channel where you, the viewer, gets to come onto the show and tell me, Houston, we have a problem. I want to hear from you, your community, and the issues you have with the United Kingdom currently. And the only thing I ask you to do is start a conversation with, Houston, we have a problem. When you see the description on YouTube, all you have to do is scroll down the description, click on that link, it'll bring you straight into the studio. From there, I'll invite you up. You start the conversation with Houston, we have a problem. We'll see what we can do to help you, your community, and your problems going forward. You never know, it might be my next journey, planting bread to the UK, to come to your community and cover your issues. So get live, get involved. Houston, we have a problem.
Says he froze again.
Super fast internet.
He's got a delay in everything, man. He's about a week behind.
Who blanked his contact to him like?
He's looking like a wee Aardman video. It's a stop frame.
Nobody can hear him. Nobody can hear him, man.
Like, surely someone's just chapped on his door saying I can get you the fastest internet ever.
Hi there, welcome to a new concept for the channel where you, the viewer, gets to come onto the show and tell me, Houston, we have a problem. I want to hear from you, your community, and the issues you have with the United.
All together now. Houston, we have a problem. We've seen the advert already.
Houston is a problem.
Right. I think I've sorted it now. I've just hit delete. Right, so that's that advert disappeared forever. I'll never be able to show it again. I saw there's Alex, come on.
You any calls,
and... Yes, we'll get that. Hi there, caller. AC Spartan, how are you tonight?
Hello, Craig. I'm fine, thank you for asking.
Where are you tonight, boss?
Just heading towards West Lothian. I've got my boy in the van with me. I was just at Silverburn.
Hope it cost you a few quid, mate. Good. That's the way it should be, boss. All the millions that you've got, because you're a grifter, apparently.
Aye.
Or you're grifting millions.
That's
so,
me
Alex, we've been talking about the pro. No, that's good.
Sorry?
That's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing. So we've been talking about the protests. So we've been talking about Epping, the victory down there, and what that will mean going forward. Will that make people more willing to get out and to talk about what they're concerned about, protesting and stuff? What's your views on that, mate?
Well, I think if you done a forensic accountancy of hotel ownership in the UK and then backtracked on the planning applications for change of use, somewhere you're going to find the documentation that they allowed these things to be used for, asylum, refuge, because it is a planning application for a change of use from a commercial venture, single night occupancy to long-term occupancy. So there's always a way, and maybe they've proved a point at the Bear letting, maybe they've proved something down there. But listen, if they want to put permission through, they'll just pass a bill through Parliament and will protect their investment, because they've already set this up to profiteer from it. So they're not going to let something as silly as a planning application stop them earning millions of pounds. I don't know if that is an answer to what you just asked me, but that's kind of where I'm at with it.
Yeah. Well, just
probably
to
never answered your question.
No, I did. No, I've got people trying to join the chat, but it's maxed out at 10 in here, guys. So if any have done a fair enough shift and you know got anything else to do, or just as if
Get rid of John. Get rid of John. John will
go. We've managed to get rid of Kev. I don't know what's going on. He's got a He's due to get his, what do you call that? His Jags to get rid of your wrinkles. He's due one of these. Got an appointment at 9 o'clock with
He's damaging our views, Craig. We need to get rid of him.
If you're maxed
no
out,
damaging my views.
I'll back off.
My revenues have dropped.
Okay, buddy. Oh man, Bobby. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for coming on. No, see, to be fair, Alex, he's got no chance of interfering with my viewers. Average age is 107. Right, his is about 12. Right, so it's two totally different demographics. He'll never steal mine, and you probably get a bit middle. So, what a strange thing happened on Twitter with you. Was it today or Bobby? You what?
So the only interference you're having is right now.
Oh, shut up. So, there's a weird thing happening. Aye, that's what it is. No, there was a strange thing happened to you on Twitter. I think it was a day or yesterday. Some woman said that never want to be in your company again, and you've not got a clue who she is.
What is it, mate?
Remember, there was some women on Twitter the day said, "I don't want to ever."
I see.
What? Sorry.
You just got membership.
It was.
That's Jen shouting in the background saying you just got memberships, mate.
All right, I'm tell us she's freaking me out. I'm looking at the screen going, I've got women in the screen and I can't see a woman.
You're freaking this poor guy out. What are you doing? Disney want to come on camera.
If you two are having a domestic, if you two are having a domestic, could you do it off screen, please? That would be great. Now we've got a new person in. I'm not sure who it is, but it goes by the name of William, so I've not got a camera to give me any more clues. William, tonight.
Hi, Craig Houston. We have a problem.
Yes, there's a man that was watching the adverts. How are you, my friend?
I'm good.
What's your pronouns?
My pronouns are.
No, I'm not interested in that. You're him, he, him to me, right? Regardless of what you say, right? I'm not listening to that. I said, what's your problem? Not your pronouns.
What's my problem? Right. I've got a couple of things for you. First of all, I think the way that the word lefty is used is not used correctly, because for me, a lefty is someone who believes in the redistribution of wealth, power to the people, and people before profit. And a lot of the people here believe in one or more of those values. But where there's a problem is you've got people who believe that their worldview is superior to all other views. And I refer to those people as left-wing authoritarians. So I just wanted to put that out to you to see if that makes sense, because I don't like it when I hear lefties, that label being used for all of the other side.
Right, no problem. That's the point. I get that. I can understand that. So what would you call it now? Lefty what?
Well, there's a term, it's actually written about in different papers. It's left-wing authoritarians, and this is it's the equivalent of the far right. The left-wing authoritarians believe in the power of institutions. They tend to gravitate to ideas like anti-racism. And to me, those are the people that show up as counter-protesters. And they're not listening because an authoritarian doesn't listen. They believe that they're smarter. They believe that they're better. So that's just an observation I had. And the second thing that I've got for you is I think we need to bring people together. And I sometimes feel the conversation around these migrant hotels, it's very heavy. And there was a sign that I saw at the weekend, and that sign was, and I don't entirely agree, but the sign was, your enemy is not the refugee, your enemy is the one who made them a refugee. And I think pretty much everyone here would actually agree with that. And one of the things I've liked what you've done, Craig, is you've pointed out that there is a high percentage of even the left-wing authoritarians that everyone believes in. So I'd just like to see, I think John was talking about it earlier, this idea of unity, of bringing people together and getting people to see that people want and deserve safety in their communities, and they want opportunities, and they want fairness, and they're not getting it.
Yeah, and I agree with almost all of what you said there, apart from one point. I believe that the person that made them the refugee and the refugee are actually the same person. Because I've spoke to refugees. I've been over to Greece, to the frontier where they come from outside the EU into the EU. And I've spoke to these people, and they made themselves refugees, because one guy that I spoke to, a guy called Nelson from Cameroon, he decided to leave Cameroon because there's going to be elections soon, and he just didn't fancy it anymore. So he's not a refugee. He's just a guy that wants to migrate to another country. So he is the person who made him the refugee.
Craig, I don't believe that they're refugees. Yeah. I'm simply I'm simply reading off that the person's sign. That's not what I believe. I believe they're at it, a lot of them. So I'm with you. And also, I've lived in Greece. I lived in Ireland. I've met people on the island I was at. There was people coming, and they were coming in illegally. And I've also got experience of what's going on. And for me, I think there's a lot of critical questions we all need to ask, because some of these people, they don't have the income to come and arrive here. So to me, they're getting help. And you've said in your videos, Craig, that this is an industry. And some of these NGOs, there's a few rich people that are behind this, and we need to figure out what is their game. Why are they doing this? And to me, that is the enemy. That's who I want to protest about. I don't necessarily want to protest about these people who are at it. Even though I applaud what you're doing, they are at it and you're doing the right thing. But I want to protest against the people who are behind the NGOs, who are putting money into the ships and encouraging these people to come from countries where they don't have the money to make that journey all the way into this country. I want you to, or anyone, or John, whatever, expose who these people are and what their game is. That's my entire point for you, and I hope you have a good evening.
We've both been doing that, my friend. We've both been doing that, and I'm driving me insane, this connection. I'm doing all this.
Craig,
you know, see me.
Craig, do me a favour. Craig, can you hear me? Craig, can you hear me? Close the window.
Unfortunately,
Close the window, mate. You're letting the Wi-Fi out, man. Like, it's not helping.
Right. You shut your mouth. You're taking it on. Fair comments.
I think William's on the ball there. I think a lot of things that William said there, I agree with quite a lot of what he's saying, and he made a fair good points there, to be fair.
No problem. Well, I'm getting that wee warning again. You've got 10 and somebody else is trying to come in. So if anybody's had enough for the night and give us a 45-minute shift,
I'm going to go as well, lads.
I'm happy to drop out, Craig, if you want.
I think we've got plenty. There's Alex away, so we've got at least one space now.
Oh, he's gone.
I'm going to drop out as well, all right? I'll speak to you later on.
All right, Connor.
All good, mate.
Top man, happy hunting weekend, buddy.
Cheers, you two, lads.
I'm not disappearing, right, when you open my mouth. It's going to end up me and John.
It's going to end up me and John in about 3 minutes,
I've got another
internet's fine. You just shut up.
For John Watt. John, hello, good evening.
I'll catch you all later.
Hi, William.
Yeah, John, I've heard from you in some of your videos, and I've seen from you that you want to do a protest. I'm at the chat, looking at the chat here, and some of the people are saying, good things about my contribution, but that they're saying yes, they'd like a protest against what they're calling the cabal. So if anyone is willing to do it, whether it's you, put on a protest, I'm one person. I'll be there against the real enemy. And against whoever it is that's behind this and figuring that out, I just want to say I'm all for it. And if you're going to put it on, I'll be right there, John. I'll be there early.
I think for me, it's really more about bringing people together and making them realise that my biggest worry is, and I've spoken about this for a long time. I always say part of a plan. Look at the documentary Agenda 20. The agenda by Oracle Films. Please go watch it. It might explain a lot to you understand. Where my fear is and my worry is that this country turns into a complete race war. And for me, it's reaching out to the people that have been living in this country for many years and turning around to them and say, don't believe the mainstream media. I always go back to what I heard in Peterhead when I spoke to the security guard, a man who fled his country from Africa. I can't remember where in Africa. He then moved from there to London. He then seen the dangers and how London had changed over the years, and then he moved from there up to Scotland. And now what he's saying now is he's starting to see it in Scotland. We need them to join our side as well, these kind of communities as well, so that we're not getting people walking down the street and going, where did he come from? How did he get here? I don't want to hear that. The people that have been living in this country, we've all been living in harmony for so long. That's the honest answer. And all these other communities that have been living here, I mean, Connor is going to a meeting with a bunch of, don't know what community it is, I don't know what religion it is, but he's going to meet them and say, look, don't believe the mainstream media. The mainstream media are lying to you. There's clearly an issue, and we need to all work together to stop this. There's no two ways about it. I'll stand by it. This needs to stop what's happening with all this mass illegal immigration. For example, I've got a heart condition due to the JAG. I need to wait. If I need an MRI scan, I need a doctor anytime soon. There's a 9 month to a year and a half waiting list for me to get an MRI scan, CT scan, PET scan, anything for my heart. And again, you think of the elderly out there. We've got to make people realise that it's not each other, it's the enemy. There's people pulling the strings here. And again, when you talk to, whatever you want to call them, lefties, they're saying the exact same thing. They're saying our issues with the government. Well, when can we just sit back and say, right, but again, it's like William said, they're just not willing to listen. So leave them be, and we'll become the majority, and we'll start to be a bit more active. And I will be trying to put a unity rally on. That's where I'm at. And for me, I just want, I don't want them to win. I don't want the mainstream media to win. I've been fighting this since I got injured for 2021. Be shut down. That's why I call myself Bring the Noises, because they've shut me down. And we need to talk about other issues. There's so many other issues. And my biggest issue, for example, is the farmers. Not enough people are talking about the farmers. I've spoken about it before. I actually drove past a farm the other day, and they had the sign up, no farmers, no food. Now, when I drove past that, I got to the roundabout and I went in and I says, can I ask you a question? I'm very curious about no farmers, no food. So then I went inside and I spoke to them, and they said, you're right, 100% you're right. I says, how close are we to food shortages? And they went, this is going to be the worst winter we're going to see regarding farmers. So while we're all arguing with this point, they're slipping so many other things under the radar. And for me, like, it's brilliant to kind of, I understand we have to focus on the immigration side of things, but again, we have to look at the other things, and we have to bring everyone together. And that's exactly where I'm at. So, William, I agree with you, mate. I agree with you. And people might say different, but anyway.
You've also got to look at the goal of the protest as well. It'll be easier to achieve the goal of closing a migrant hotel compared to getting a billionaire to stop spending money on, like, importing immigrants into the UK. I think it'll be more realistic to get a migrant hotel closed. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, at the end of the day, like, this goes higher up than government, right? Mm-hmm. But we can't get there. So we're just going to have to make everybody, like I say, everybody's got the same. Everybody's talking about. I mean, you talk about hospitality sector. The hospitality sector in the UK is under crisis. You know, everybody's businesses are shutting down. You know, I look around and I'm seeing the robots taking over now, the facial recognition and the Aldis and the Tesco's, and it's like, is everybody consenting to all this? My worry is really about the future of how this is going to, why are they doing it, and what is the solution for doing it? They'll do it, and they do it again. Always do it. They create the problem, but they'll bring the solution. And that's where I'm at with things. But again, all these things are all interlinked. Everything's interlinked.
Yeah, I was going to add. I agree. I think all these issues that
John, I don't know, Bob.
They all join the dots, and the more the deeper you go down these so-called rabbit holes, you just see it more clearer and clearer. Just go back to William's point. That's why I think it is important. I mean, I don't blame the refugees for coming over. If you got given a free meal ticket, why wouldn't you? Do not blame them at all. However, they are unvetted. They do pose a threat. So, we don't know who they are. This is the problem. Some of them might be fine, but some of them might not be. So we are inviting or importing problems that we don't necessarily need. We've got enough issues as it is. And just interestingly, I know William mentioned like the left and the right. You want to bring unity where you've got to start removing labels for a start. Is there such thing as a left and the right anymore? I was at Epping, was it 3 weeks ago, maybe 2 weeks ago? I had quite an interesting interview with Piers Corbyn, the brother of Jeremy Corbyn. And, he made...
He's a character. He's a character, man.
Honestly, mate, he was like... He actually invited Rupert Lowe to join the Your Party, which I found it, and he was there in protest to get the hotel shut down. And I know, honestly, I put it into 3 separate videos because it was quite a 12-minute interview, so I broke it down into like 3 segments. And we spoke about this, and I said about about removing the left and the right, and if anything, the spectrum's almost they're like roles reversed, if anything. But 2 of the other issues that he was there for was the digital IDs and to scrap net zero. So, and I've had this conversation with a few people since then because I was I actually saw him the other day down there. I should have reapproached him and asked him again. But if those are, let's say, take away the migrant hotels, if digital IDs and net zero, bearing in mind his brother's party's now got what 600,000 members or people that have joined it. I don't know whether that's on a free basis or whether they're paid. I don't know. But if you just take the digital IDs and the net zero, for instance, if the left, or if he's representing the left to some degree, and they don't, the majority of them don't believe in, I'm not saying they all do, but then some of them might agree with it. But if that's a problem, those are 2 issues that we could all come together on. Those are 2 problems we can potentially stamp out. So when you're talking about issues, we do have to tackle each one at a time, but we've got to find them. We have to find unity somewhere, which is why I go and interview. I'll try and interview the lefts. I'll just try and understand how their brain works.
Do you know I think it would be better to? Do you know I think it would like the left? To be honest with you, Martin. I mean, how many times have you tried to speak to them? They don't want to speak. At the end of the day, these people they've said that. And Mark, 100%. They're either paid, and it's kind of like a cult-like behaviour. I've witnessed it. One of the videos I done with a young guy who was there in support. He was speaking to me. Then what happened was they kicked him out, and they said, "Remember that video, Craig, where they were kind of like saying he was this, that, and the next thing." The guy was actually there in support. But do you know? I think it would be good to get around the local community, like I don't know, the Indians or whatever. Do you know what I mean? All these different multicultures that we've had in the community for all this time, and say to them, "What do you think about this?" And then say, why don't start bringing them into it as well? Do you know what I mean? Because unity is what's needed. And if they're going to sit there and say to you, "Right, hold on, we don't agree with this either," right? Why are we not standing together? Because that's what the government don't want. They want us all race baiting and hating each other. I mean, there's a certain woman on Twitter, which I'm pretty sure we all know how bad she is at doing that, So we have to all find a common goal, and the common goal is the common thing is the enemy's just shafting the government's just shafting everybody at this point in time.
I think they are. They're using so many different problems which are all connected, like you say, John. But it's like you concentrate on one thing, and then they're doing something behind your back with something else. So it's like you almost need like an army of people to sort of divide themselves up and all concentrate on different things at the same time.
It's like I said, one of the ones that was passed not that long ago, which was wild, and people didn't even know about it, was the abortion one. That now the UK government is it up till birth, or is it up to like I don't know how many weeks now?
37, wasn't it?
And the general public, I don't even know about this, and I'm like, this is crazy that this is the things that are slipping through under people's radar, and it's not because it's all focused on this, and they want us to be racist, they want to say far right and all that. But again, they're slipping all this stuff under, and it's like we have to make people realise, join the dots, COVID, the LGBT, blah blah blah, education in school, the immigration.
To go along with that one as well. Do you know what I mean? So it's like they want to kill us off at both ends. They want to stop life, and they want to sort of, you know, and I know when I just try and have these conversations with say my parents, for instance. My mum's not too bad, but because they are, you know, old school, they will sit there and watch BBC. They will, again, comes back down to the mainstream media, the way they're gonna, you know, the way that they present these ideas and the narrative, basically. And you never, that's why it's important that when going back to these protests, I don't want to be talking to these people, you know, because they will spin it. If you give them a chance to give them a headline to go against the so-called far right, they will. But yeah, I agree with what you're saying, John. You know, it's about connecting them dots up. It's loads of different things. You know, now what they're trying to bring in this this additional inheritance tax. Was that for the farmers? What's this for?
Yeah, so the farmers are having, right. So this is one, right? Here's one, right, that not people are talking about. So the farmers have got, right. So I went to Wales and documented that. Please go to my channel and look up the one in Wales that I went to the farmers and listen to what the farmers had to say. Don't, like, it's like Craig, it's like me and Craig sitting here, but Craig goes out and actually does good, honest journalism and speaks to people. Whereas I went, right, I'm going to get up off Mars, and instead of me hearing this, I'm going to go out and speak to the farmers. So they were outside a Labour conference where Keir Starmer was, by the way. So Keir Starmer was there. So they're doing another one in Liverpool, and round about, I think it's September time. Again, it's another Labour conference, and I don't know if Starmer's going to be there. So why don't we band together with the farmers, get down there, speak to them, and say, right, guys, you guys feed us. What do we need to do to make this change? Bring that together, bring everything together. The government will be sitting there going, hold on a minute here. These guys are now starting to all come together. I'm telling you, the food, when they control the food, you watch this country go into, like, you know, fight mode, if you want to call it.
Well, once they control the food, they control the people, do you know what I mean? So that's essentially what they're doing.
Exactly.
There's something you might be missing, John. I mean, I agree with what you're saying, and I was doing some deep dives on this last year, and what I came to the conclusion was that there's centralized structures of control that are trying to grab power from all of us, and they're trying to hoard it for themselves. And they do this via two main methods. They're trying to control resources, so they're trying to control the food. They're also trying, at the same time, control our minds. And you touched on that with the mainstream media. But what I feel's missing is you're not talking about the opportunity. We have an opportunity to fight back. And we can do that in two different ways. We can reclaim our power by stimulating community and spirit, uplifting people, uplifting the consciousness, and we can also reclaim our power by spreading knowledge and awareness. And that's part of what you're doing, and it's part of the conversation. Now everyone's coming together, so there's an incredible opportunity because there's more of us than there is of them. And if we just see it for what it is, all their power grabs are about controlling resources. And in order to do that, they need to control our minds. But when we stop letting them control our minds, we will control the resources. So I just feel what an opportunity we have to be the ones to make the change. And there's another thing I would just add, that sometimes when you want to convince people of something, the best place to come from is when you believe you've already won. And when you come from that starting position, you can then use mockery. And mockery is what these people do not like. It is their kryptonite. They cannot stand it when you use memes or you make funny videos, because that's what bypasses the ego. So that's all I would say to you, John, that I hear what you're saying about the power grabs. They're trying to control our minds, control the food, control resources. But if we can get community back at the forefront of our life and spread knowledge and awareness, we can be the ones to make the change.
I agree with you, and what I will say as well is regarding the fear, we've got to remember as well, a lot of people live in the fear because everybody's kind of trapped in the system, if you want to call it, already. Whereas people have got their jobs now. For example, look at Stevens one up in Peterhead. They were told in the NHS, if any of you attend that rally, you'll lose your jobs. You know, they've got so many people not wanting to speak out because of it. So I understand why people don't want to talk, and like Craig does this and I do this, and people are, I just can't afford to do this, John, because I don't know how we break that mold, if that makes sense. True or false? I mean, does anyone want to kind of speak on that one? And one thing I did hear...
There's always going to be people.
If somebody want to speak on
All
that,
right,
then
no.
John straight away again goes again. Gino De Campo and full voice here, eh? I'm actually starting to think this is John Watts live here.
Oh. I know. Do you see it's...
I went away there for half an hour and come back. He's still talking.
That's right. Mate, wait to see what I done to him, right? We were doing a podcast yesterday in the most lovely studio I've ever been in, right? And he started on one, right? And I'm like, I'm needing a pee. I'm just going to let him start talking, go to the toilet, and come back in, and I'll know. Right. I was like, man, I walked out, ran to the toilet, ran back in, and everybody in the studio was just looking at me. I walked straight in front of the camera. You could see. Honestly, it was.
Do you know what it is, though? You know what it is, Craig? It's because he's a libertarian.
This is like this live's like being in an old folks home, because you're speaking to Craig, but there's like a 3-minute delay in it. So you're speaking to her, and they're like, what was that, son? And he's like, I'm just spoke there. I'm 10 seconds. He's 10 seconds behind us right now, isn't he? 5 seconds behind us.
Sorry.
That's one
it's
of the
because
perks
you're
of
in the East Coast of
internet.
Scotland. It's because he's in the East Coast of Scotland. It's our time zone. Are you senior maniac?
I'll tell the story, right? Because he's about a week behind, right? So me and him were doing the podcast yesterday, right? Now I was trying to get a bit in a story, and I kept trying to say it about 3-4 times, and he kept butting in, no me, right? And then eventually, see, when I got to get to the point he's 5 seconds behind. Let me finish, Craig, and then look at right. Then eventually, once I got to tell the story, he just goes like, wait there, keep talking, right? And then he just gets up and walks, and I go, did he just do that? And I'm actually thinking I should keep it in the podcast, because he just walks away, and I'm sitting there going, right, got to come back here so we can get this out. But
anyway, do you know why that is? Do you know why that is, Gino? Right, see when you're interviewing and you ask people questions, what you make is allow them to answer that question before you start again. Do you know what I mean?
He's away again.
They do is the guest asks you a question and they let you answer. Aye, John, this is a question S tier. Right.
Listen, it's a podcast. It's not a BBC interview. You let it flow and the two you have a chat. That's the way I look at it.
When you're meant to flow,
I was ready to walk out.
Not just a one-way street. Okay, Gino thinks he's on a protest in a speech.
It's got to get the Starlink.
Craig's running his internet after Skype.
Oh my days.
I think he's using LimeWire.
Well, since Craig's kind of frozen, now it's the Bring the Noise podcast. Eddie, how are you, mate? How are you, Eddie? My internet, Eddie, my internet's fine. I'm not letting the Wi-Fi out the window. My windows are shut. So, Eddie, how are you, mate? What brings you in tonight?
I am alright. Been down with the flu, to be honest, since I was in Wakefield. So I've just been laid up in bed editing a few videos and whatnot. Decent win for us today, but still a long way to go, haven't we? I mean, they're just going to be dispersed into some other poor people's towns and villages up and down the country. So yeah, it's a good win, and it does set a precedent as well. I mean, it shows that protests work. Epping's been very, very consistent in the week protesting, on the weekends protesting. I've not seen anything like it. It's spread all up and down the country. The protests have from Epping, and now we've got them outside the majority of migrant hotels in the country. So I'm hoping that we're going to see a lot more councils taking action against the Home Office. But yeah, still a long way to go. I won't be happy until every single one of the 50,000, probably more, in the hotels is on a flight back to their home countries. Or even France. I mean, save country after save country after save country to get through to soft touch Britain. We've already paid France £361 million a year, and then promised them another £160 million a year to stop the boats. So what are 50,000 people still doing in hotels up and down the country? So I'd absolutely, every single one of the 50,000 absolutely needs immediate deportation. Their asylum claims don't need to be processed at all. They all need to be declined because they came illegally anyway. But it's not just the unfairness of it, the £8 million a day, £54,000 per year per migrant. It's a national security threat as well. How many instances of SA attacks, of grape attacks, are these potential terrorists? You know, sure, you can say that they're one of the good ones, which I'm sure they are, the majority of them. I'm sure they, like you were referring to earlier, just one. You can't blame them for coming over here, and they're just doing it solely because of the incentives for coming over here. 4-star hotels and, you know, all the perks of the NHS and whatnot. But are these one of the good ones, or one of the ones who is going to go on to commit an unthinkable amount of spontaneous brutality in an instant? Or is this one of the ones who is going to go on and indecently expose themselves to a woman in a town or village across the UK? We don't know. So yeah, it's a good win for Epping, and after the protest and after seeing what I've seen in Epping as well, the demographic of people protesting in Epping, the pink women's t-shirt march, I think that's absolutely fantastic as well, because that's smashing narratives left, right and centre. But yeah, good win for Epping, and yeah, hoping more councils along the country take action.
But I wonder where they're going to put all these migrants, because they can't put them all in social housing. And there's already a lot of migrants still in the country, and more keep coming into the country. Like, what are they going to do with these migrants?
Just one more quick point as well. 112 yesterday over the channel. Yeah. 2,500 legally. So our immigration, we've solved one tiny little issue, but we've still got a long way to go. And I'm not trying to be pessimistic, because what I've seen, where have we been? Norwich, Epping, Nuneaton, Rugby, obviously Canary Wharf as well. Numerous places. I've never seen anything like it in my lifetime. You know, the sheer scale of the protest. So I am optimistic, because I really do feel a change in public consciousness. But yeah, still a long way to go, unfortunately.
Yeah, thanks for that, Eddie. I'm going to come back to you in a minute with a question or two, right? But Johnny's joined in, so new person onto the show. Johnny, how are you today, and what's your issues? Johnny, can you hear me?
Is his mic on mute?
Hello.
It was. I had to... Hi, Johnny. How are you?
Hello. Can you hear me?
Johnny. Yes, we hear you loud and clear. You have the floor.
Oh, no. Hello, guys. Love the show. Thank you very much for letting me in.
Thank you. No problem.
I'm in Glasgow, and we seem to be having quite a bit of immigration integration that probably is, in some cases, illegal migrants. I just want to know what you guys think about how things are going in Scotland at the moment.
Well, I'm glad that the Scottish people have taken the lead. I think Epping helped highlight that, you know, get people out in the streets, make some noise, show your concerns, and it seems to be stepping up in Glasgow. And I'm delighted that so many people are now that are not far left, or I can't remember the name they use after William being in, but people who are normally testing about anything. I'm glad it's not them. I'm glad the rest of the society are picking up the gauntlet. I think it's fantastic that Aberdeen, they get the award for the consistency, because they're just at it constantly. And Falkirk, I would suggest, get the award for numbers. At the two protests, I was fortunate enough to be at one of their protests, and the numbers were just fantastic for a small town size below 80. But I think it's a bit bizarre that our most metropolitan areas are lagging so far behind some of our more rural areas and our smaller cities like Aberdeen is.
Exactly. And when we look at places down south, Epping, for example, the people are really taking the bull by the horns.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and power to them. And I'm glad, because I was protesting 10 years ago about a thing unrelated, and it took 3 years of my life. And when I started that, people were telling me protesting doesn't work. And this was people who were, just because of the football club it was concerned, were predominantly Protestant. And I reminded them how their religion got its name. They were protesting against the name. And, we get a result. The people in Epping get a result. And I think it's fantastic, because, see, when you say to somebody, you want to come and, whether you want to do anything, right? Or, what follows when they say no, right? And then you give a word after that, or a sentence after that, it's either only one of two things. It's either a genuine reason for saying no, or it's an excuse for saying no. And for too long, people have said things like justifiable reasons. No, I am on holiday that day. That's a justifiable reason. But for too long, they've had this excuse. No, because it's never worked. And that was the one thing about the last few days with Epping, and then there's another council already lodging papers to do the same in their area. And I think it's fantastic, because it does prove that protesting does work. And even when
it does work, yeah.
I spoke about this earlier, Johnny. Even if you don't get the result that Epping got, you're still highlighting issues, and people will eventually listen. And I told a story. I went out, I got a tip off from two residents in an area nearby me who had a concern that a local, previously council-owned care home, which had been closed for a couple of years, was being earmarked to be turned into an asylum venue, because certain things happened on the site. So I went out, I done a 10-minute video, standing outside the place. I showed people the proximity to, on four sides it was surrounded by a housing estate, and diagonally across the road was a primary school. And what was one of the papers up here done a hit piece on me, calling me a racist, fascist, far-right thug that was just creating, issues that didn't exist. And I thought, right, that's fine, I'll take that. Yeah, well, what happened after that, Johnny, see if you let me finish, I would be most humbled, right? So what happened next was, a few weeks later, I got contacted from someone in the council, and they said, Craig, I need to let you know that the council are no longer considering that site for asylums. But they're not going to say that. They're just going to say they were never going to consider it, but they were. And the reason they didn't is because of your video created a wave. And they were scared that if they put another builder on that site, that the local community would have turned on, into protests and potentially other things. So even when you do something, you might not actually, if I didn't get that phone call from an insider, I would never have known that action had caused such a positive reaction. So people need to take that from that. People need to take that from Epping, and people need to just say, do you know what? I'm having a bit of this. And I really hope that the efforts in Epping have no doubt led to the efforts in Aberdeen and helped to things in Falkirk. I kind of hope that jolts the busy metropolitan areas in Scotland into doing the same. And by the way, that's not only about migration. Whatever your concerns are, let's take the sole rights of protest away from those who have been protesting for decades and make it the right of everybody, because that's the way it should be, Johnny.
Well, thank you so much, Craig. I think you've enlightened so many people tonight, and your guests. Thank you so much.
No, thank you, Johnny, for coming up, because the show normally is called Houston May Have a Problem, and it's a call-in show. So without people calling in, I've been humbled tonight because I've got so many special guests who have got their own little area of protesting that they've all been involved in. And that's been absolutely fantastic. But, I thank you and William that was up before you have just come up from, watching and listening to getting...
I missed a bit of Johnny, but just out of curiosity, Johnny, are you quite worried about the way things are going just now? I don't know if he touched on that, but I'm just curious.
I am. I'm honestly worried about my two daughters walking about the park that I live in here in Glasgow, because I just don't know. Things have changed dramatically, and well, who knows? So yes, I am worried.
And what sort of age are your daughters, Johnny?
Youngest one is 23 and oldest is 30. So they're not
Isn't
young.
it crazy? No, but that's even worse in my eye, Johnny, because if you've got a teenager or, a school-age kid, then you're naturally worried about them when they go out. But when you're actually worried about adults, that shows you how bad the whole thing is.
Yep, exactly. So, I'm constantly monitoring the situation.
It's not just their safety either, though, Craig or Johnny. It's like their futures as well. Do you know what I mean? Because they're still relatively young. Do you know what I mean? It's just like
I think this is the whole reason we're all doing this, because we all want a better future. I mean, I look at GB National and I look at Eddie. I mean, look how young these guys are. When did the rest of the youth all stand up with them? I see them all on these other apps or these TikTok, and they're all dancing and all that, and you're like, my God, this world, this country's crumbling right now. People have got fears, and we've got the young guys here that are fighting the corner.
That's one of my main drivers on all this, because I'm bitterly let down and disappointed in my generation, because people like GB and Eddie and DGR, they should be enjoying youth.
Don't forget young Bob.
I didn't need to take the streets. Yeah, he's not on the screen right now, mate, so it's kind of difficult, right? I mean, it was better when you were away for your whatever you were doing, or you were running your scooter getting donuts or something, right? But what I'm saying is, Eddie and GB now, right, they shouldn't be having to do what they're doing, right? And I'm eternally ashamed that my generation could be the first generation in modern days in the United Kingdom's history that are going to hand over a worse country than we inherited for our forefathers. And that's not the way it should be. For a country to develop, the game should be we inherit whatever we get from our parents and grandparents, and when we hand it on to our kids and our grandkids, it's in a better situation. And it's far from it. I was born in the 70s, raised in the 80s, and my God, the world was so different then. And that really is embarrassing.
I'm curious, like GB National and Eddie, how old are you guys?
I'm 20.
20. Eddie?
Early 20s as well, yeah.
The fact that you guys are 20, see, in my 20s, I tell you what, I was never into politics. I worked on Monday to Friday and I enjoyed my weekend. But look what you guys are trying to do. Where is the rest of you youth are trying to fight for the future? This future is absolutely going to... It's not even going to be a future for us all. The freedom that I had and the freedom that most of us all had, we've all done it. We've all partied. These young kids here, these guys here, haven't, and they shouldn't be having to do this, but they're doing it because they care. And I say I say it all the time. Part of a plan. I tell you what, the freedom's gone away. And I heard that, I actually wanted to mention it earlier on, but people say that they're too scared to lose it. They're too scared to talk out in case they lose this, that, and next thing. I hate to tell you, see, if you don't stand up and speak out, you're going to lose it regardless. That's the only answer.
I think you're so right. You are so right. This country's gone to shit. It really has. And when I was young, I'm 62, right? So I'm an old guy. But I've seen such a change in this country, and especially where I live at the moment. It's not the same place we used to live. And it's all down to, I suppose it's either Glasgow City Council or Scottish Government. I don't know who.
They're all in cahoots, Johnny. Johnny, I would ask you again, I say it all the time, wonderful documentary made by guys called Oracle Films. It's called The Agenda. I tell everybody to watch it. It kind of tells you how it's getting played out. And it kind of shows you, like Martin said earlier on, everything's kind of interlinked. But I take my hat off to these young kids that I'm watching on the screen here that I've got the balls to do. And where's the rest of them? They're on TikTok. Well, this country is an absolute mess. See, once it's a mess, then Big Craig can go on TikTok and get his wig on and dance about like Cher all day But right now we can't because we've all got a moral compass and we
The
need to
thing
try
is,
and
as
sort
well,
this out.
it's like it's hard to avoid politics. It affects like all of us. Do you know what I mean? And I've still got to have kids as well, so I would be bringing my kids into like a country that is in a complete like state. And I imagine when I have kids as well, the country will probably be in worse condition. It's only going to get worse.
Well,
100%. If it's this bad now, what's it going to be like in another 20 years?
But even the problems that we've got and we're discussing, even if we were to resolve them, this ain't something that's going to happen overnight. It's going to take generations anyway. You know, this is like, you know, even if we want to talk about the mass deportations, for instance, you know, that's not going to even happen within 5 years or 10. It's like a 20-year project on its own. So to reverse all the damage, which, you know, is a massive, you know, it's an upheaval battle. Do you know what I'm saying? So it will be down to you guys. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Well, look, I'm going to have to bow out, Craig. I appreciate you for bringing me in, and it's been great talking to you. And honestly, I take my hat off to these guys, these young ones, especially that have got the balls to actually stand up and actually do what some of the youth should be doing. In my opinion, 2020 created this new generation of these people that think they're celebrities because they mime over some sort of song. People really need to get with the times and need to understand we're going to have to all unite together. But anyway, Husty, bring the noise.
Bring the noise.
Bring the noise, John.
See you later,
All
John.
right.
See you later, Gino.
Are you still here?
Guys, I'll go as well. Let somebody else in. Thank you so much, Craig. Thank you so much.
I'm going to need to head
Thanks,
up as
Johnny.
well.
Thanks for coming in. Not lovely to hear
Come
from
on.
you.
Thank you.
No problem, GB. Honoured to have you, my friend, especially for so long. Now, we'll go back to Eddie because I do have a couple of questions for him, but we've joined with somebody else now. I'm sure this is Chris who's organising something in Stirling on Saturday. Have I got it right, Chris?
That's correct. That's me. Yeah. So Saturday we have.
Smashing. So, how are you tonight, Chris?
Good. I've just finished working. So I was panicking I wouldn't get out in time, but I've just managed to get out. So it's all good. I'm sitting in my car actually, not very professional, but just doing the best with what I've got. So yeah, this Saturday. Nope. All right.
Chris, Craig's having problems with his Wi-Fi, so that's probably why it's a little bit delayed as well. So.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So this Saturday, we've got it's a protest, demonstration, gathering, whatever you like to call it. It's going to be about the issue of farms and farms closing specifically. The difference for this one is we're trying to aim it to the public as well. So there's been a few of these farmers rallies in Wales, London, and it's picking up steam. But there's not been anything in Scotland for a while. So I think to keep the ball rolling, I think it'd be good to have a good turnout on Saturday for an issue that doesn't just affect farmers, it affects everybody. I think the consequences of farms closing down, we don't really think about as non-farmers, but when you actually take a breath and think about it, not just financially, but I think it's going to have effect on a lot of things like our freedoms. But we invite everyone to come. So I think there's going to be a lot of farmers, but a lot of non-farmers as well. So it's about uniting the public with farmers.
No, I think that's commendable what you're doing, and I think the fact that it's a non-farmer, I hope that the farming community take a lot of, I don't know the word to use, appreciation for that, because it's easy for farmers. It's more normal for farmers to get out and protest because it's their livelihood that's at risk with these crazy rules and all the stuff with their food. What they're allowed to do, what they're not allowed to do. It's not just about the inheritance tax for the farmers. There's so much in this farmer's story that's just ridiculous. And I think the fact that it's a non-farmer that's saying, come on, we need to show support, there's things that are wrong here, I think is absolutely fantastic. So where and when should people turn up, Chris?
So 12 o'clock at Kings Park, Stirling, at the main entrance, we're going to have like fun activities for families. So you can bring along youngsters. We're going to have face painting. It's sort of like a day for like games. It's all farm themed games. We've got quite a lot we've got a tug of war, we've got kids axe throwing, not real axes, a tractor race. It's a toy tractor race, so there's going to be fun stuff. And then 1 o'clock will be sort of the main gathering. So I think we're picking up steam, and like you say, a lot of the farming groups are starting to open up to us. So Farmers Guardian just shared what we're doing. So as far as I know, that's quite a big publication. So I think the message we're trying to get to them is, you support us, we'll support you, because I think there's a lot of topics sort of floating around just now, and I wouldn't want one topic to be forgotten about. Obviously, the big topic that's kind of eclipsing everything in a good way, in a positive way, is I think it looks like Britain's starting to find a bit of a sense of self. You see all these like protests against illegal immigration and things, and I totally agree with that. But I think if we forget about other things that's going on, I think from my perspective, that's what the government wants. So I think if these farms continue to close, I think my view is that's when the government tries to step in and look like the hero, because they know that if British farms close, we need to import things, and if we need to import things, the cost of living is going to skyrocket. So that's where Big Keir Starmer rolls in, save British farms, and they start to do some sort of like nationalised food supply. That's just my take on things. Best case scenario is they don't do that, and the cost of living just spirals out of control. Either way, dependency on government is just going to increase. So that's why we're aiming at the public as well. So I think it's great that all these hotel protests are popping up, and it's amazing to see something that's against the narrative start to take shape again, because it's been a long time. That happened during lockdown. So it's great to see what's happening, but what we're trying to say is there is other issues, and there might be a lot of people that believe in similar causes or close together causes. So we do invite anyone that's been involved in this down, and I'm sure a lot of people that go to what we're going to will be interested in sort of what's happening at the hotels and what's happening in the cities and things as well.
Yeah, I was listening to what you said there quite intently, Chris, but there was one thing where you said that was almost an either-or situation, where we either make our own food or we import our own food. But there is a third option, and this is one that's I'm keeping a keen eye on, and that is we just manufacture our food, which is a horrible prospect. And we can see things that are already happening with that in America, and that just blows my mind. Absolutely. Why would you want to manufacture food when you can produce it from the ground or from cattle and rearing animals? That to me is just a bonkers and quite a scary thought. But yeah, hat off to you for standing up and doing your stuff. And I wish you all success on Saturday. I'm be travelling up to Aberdeen for a protest at night, so I plan to stop off, and I'll be there hopefully to support you. I'll try and get there about 12, half 12, and I'll try and help. I've already started promoting it through Twitter, obviously promoting it now through this platform, and I'll get up there, get some footage, and hopefully your protest will inspire others if they see what the effects that you're having. So well done to you. But Eddie, can I ask you something? You go about, you seem to pop up everywhere, right? You're like, oh, there's that guy again with the camera, right? You're doing a sterling job. How do you get, when you arrive in a place and there's cops there, etc., I take it the people protest, they're always happy to see. But you've also got two other bodies of people, and that's the police officers and the counter-protesters when there are ones. How do they treat you? How do they welcome you? What sort of stories have you got that you can share with us about how you get treated by non-protesters when you're out there?
Well, how long have you got? I mean, I was at the Britannia Hotel a couple of weeks back, maybe 2.5 weeks back. Martin already knows what's coming. 48 hours previous to this, I bought a DJI Osmo Pocket 3, little tiny camera, amazing, 630 quid from Currys. Lovely, peaceful protest at the Britannia Hotel in Canary Wharf. I'm there filming for it. I don't really tend to get involved with the protests in terms of shouting and in terms of chanting and stuff. I like to be there to document it and to try and show a broader extent of people what's actually happening on the streets up and down the country. And not only that, to document it for myself as well, because I'm in no doubt that this is a revolution, so it's certainly the places to be. But yeah, I was at the Britannia Hotel. Lovely, it was a lovely day. Families there, elderly people there, people, ethnic minorities there as well. It was a very, very diverse crowd. A couple of Antifa members have came down. This is just one instant. Both balaclavaed up, so clearly there to instigate and interrogate and intimidate innocent members of the public who are just doing their democratic right to do in a so-called free country, who just peacefully protesting, came down, masked up. Within about 2 minutes, they've all been escorted off. I'm there with my camera, asking them 3 simple questions. Are you a member of Antifa? What's the reason for the mass today, guys? And how much has Soros paid you for being here? That resulted in both of them being arrested, one for criminal damage and one for common assault as well. They grabbed my camera off the little gimbal and chucked it into the River Thames. And I can say this because they've both been charged criminal damage and assault. But what I found with these protesters, I've not had any real. We was in Wakefield the other day, and the only type of interview I've had out of any of these protesters was in Wakefield the other day. And you know, credit to this guy. He stood up and he took a load of flack. I'm not sure where else he had to go, because he was literally standing at his car, and you know, other protesters was questioning him, and then ultimately ended up following him to his car, probably to drive about 300 miles back down to his house. You know, his 4-bedroom detached house down the other side of the country. But that's probably the only experience I've had where he was speaking to people. But if you're there for any righteous reason, if you're at a protest, surely your whole entire reason for being at said protest, Craig, is to make your voice heard, is to get your point across. What's the reason for doing that if you're not going to speak to members of the press, if you're not going to actually debate with the opposing crowd and come in all masked up? If you're there for a righteous reason, you will not come balaclavaed up. That just shows you there to interrogate. But I've found a lot of them union workers as well, a lot of union people, and
a lot of them.
Yeah, just how can you have a conversation with someone though who just starts screaming Nazi at you? You can't.
Well, that's true, Eddie. Last weekend I was up at Stephen's protest up in Peterhead, and the police get a wee bit excited with what we've done. At the start of my speech, I just slaughtered the counter protester. I asked them to have a good look at themselves in the mirror before they come out to a counter protest, because I've just heard some local people giving some very valid concerns, and you're standing against that. And I said, once I'm finished my speech, I'll give the last 2 minutes of my mic time to you, to any one of you that wants to come up here and explain to me and the good people of Peterhead why you're here today. And to be fair, one woman came up, and that's when the police started getting a bit excited, and I didn't know the bedlam that was going on behind me, but Stephen, as the organiser, was spoken to by the police, and they were scared that it was going to kick off because of my actions, but they were fine when it finished. But anyway, this woman got up, and she actually agreed with the concerns that the people had spoke before. And I was like, so I asked you to come up and say, why are you here? Why are you here? You should be standing with us. And then basically, she said, because you're a racist and you're blaming the wrong people. And you're like, all right. Now, then I would say to myself on a Saturday morning before I come out of the house, I agree with these people, but I don't like one of the speakers. So I can do one of two things. I can just get on with it and go and show my support there as a protest. Just ignore this guy that I think's a racist while he's doing his 5 minutes. Or I could stay in the house, right? But no, these crackpots come out every weekend, and I think they've got a wardrobe next to their door. And as they walk out on the Saturday morning, they'll say, Morag, what is it we're protesting against today? Do I need my get out of jail scarf? Or do I need my Scottish independent banner? Or do I need my trans flag? Or is it Palestine? Or is it boycott Israel? Or is it stop oil? Or is it whatever? And Morag says, I don't know, but that Kilcooston's gone, so we'll just go and shout shite, right? So I left Peterhead, which is an hour north of Aberdeen, and I drove down to Aberdeen because there was a hotel protest on in the afternoon. So we went to that, and my friend Denzel, we turned up, right, and we could hear it. And then we turned the corner, and we were greeted by quite a lot of Palestine flags. And the chants were, free, free Palestine, Palestine will be free, all that nonsense, right? And I was thinking, there is no Palestine refugees in the UK, so there's definitely no Palestinian refugees in the hotel that they're standing protecting, right? And a load of people at the other side of the road saying, we don't want these people here. So if you're turning up to counter these people who are wanting rid of the people in the hotel, why are you shouting about Palestine? You're just absolutely brain dead. And it's just the narrative I've been talking about, as it's just, that's their hobby. We're going out protesting today. What are we protesting against? Well, we kind of don't know. And then when you ask them, they kind of go, oh, I'm not allowed to talk. I had one, right? That's a cracking story, Eddie. I was over at my girlfriend's, woke up on Sunday morning. I was having to head home to do something early on, and came across something on the internet that told me there was a protest at the police station local to me. And the police station local to me is the only one in Glasgow that can house terrorists because it has a special underground cells for putting terrorists, right? So there was, I think, the Palestine Action type people, and they had been arrested on the Friday. They were held in this police station, waiting to attend court on the Monday. So there was a protest to free these people, right? So I turned up with my camera, and the first ones to turn up, I said, look, could I bother you? I'm a podcaster, and I would love to know the reason for the protest today. Would you mind going on camera and explaining it to me and the good British public? And the first three said, no, we are not allowed to. And I thought, well, you're an adult, right? Anyway, they refused. And then this person that I thought was a female from a distance, as I get closer, I realised it was a man in a dress and a Betty hat and a pair of like small-heeled lady shoes, right? And I asked this person, and he said, well, let me speak. I'll have a think about it and I'll get back to you. So as the protest was going on, this person had the megaphone and banging pots and leading chants. So I thought, well, they must be one of the organisers. So after about half an hour, I went back over and I said, listen, I'm going to go soon. So if you want to do something, can we do something just now? And they agreed to go on camera. So I said, why are you here? Why is this protest taking place outside this police office? And I was told that it was because 3 of their colleagues were being held illegally by the Stasi police or the Nazi police or the whatever police, fascist police force, Scotland, whatever. I was like, all right. And I let them rabble on. And I said, he said that they carried out an action at a premises in West Central Scotland, and that's why they've ended up illegally, in your words, detained. Yeah, that's right. I said, well, would you mind sharing with me what it is they're alleged to have done? What was the action? Oh, I don't know. I went, okay. Now, I knew what it was. They'd put a bloody high-ab up against a defence contractor's property and try to bulldoze their way through it, right? And I said, so what was the property that carried out this action that you don't know? What type of property was it? I don't know. I says, well, I do, and I'm no protesting. But you don't, and you are. But the maddest thing is, you've just told me that it's an illegal arrest. How can you possibly tell me it's an illegal arrest when you don't know what they've done and you don't know where they've done it? At which point, the microphone came off, got flung at me, I think this is finished. And I thought, that's how bonkers you are. But that person could have been any person in that. There was about 30 or 40 of them, right? Any of them would have told me the same nonsense. The speakers were saying the same nonsense, right? And you could then go to Aberdeen or Epping or wherever there's a counter protest. And if they do speak to you, that's the sort of nonsense you get, because they don't know what they're protesting for. They're brain dead. I'm a free thinker, and I think most of us are, if not all of us, right? And we're allowed to disagree in some things. None of us are clones of the other. But that's mobber. And they're absolutely barking mad. So it's no wonder they don't want to talk to you, Eddie, because you're an intellectual young male that would ask them intellectual questions that their intelligence can't cope with. But well done.
Well, they'll
Anyway,
happily.
Shawnee
Just
boy,
before we go to Sean, I've just got literally one more thing to say. One more thing they say to me is,
yeah,
we
crack
want
on,
to
Eddie.
show solidarity with the people who are staying in the hotels, right? We want to show solidarity.
Yeah.
Okay, then why didn't you do it on the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, or Saturday before we was protesting? You're just coming to agitate. And another thing, they'll happily
Yeah.
describe themselves as communists. Well, okay, communism killed 100 million people and starved even more. So, yeah, let's go to Shawnee boy, Uncensored Patriots. Some boy.
Yeah, it's good. You're out of the car now, Shawnee. You were on your travels there. I saw you when you popped in. Thanks for coming in. And how are you, my friend? And what have you been up to?
You all right, mate? Yeah, no, sorry. Yeah, no, I was just driving back from the pub, mate. Obviously, I'm not drink driving. Just
Just put it out there because Denzel, also known as Kev, is a bit of a grass, so you better settle that one.
Dev's no grass. You can't even start that carry on.
Hello, Kev, mate. Why
All right, brother.
Why do you call Denzel?
It's because Craig's bird decided to call me Denzel, man. Know what I mean? And this absolute lunatics decided to tell everybody that.
Shawnee, I can't remember where we were going, right? But she said, "What time are you picking Denzel up?" Right? And I'm looking at her thinking, I forgot I'm picking somebody up that I don't even know who they are, right? I was like, "What are you talking about?" She went, "Oh shit, I meant Kev." It's like, right, Denzel Sticks, right? So it's he's a ranter formerly known as Kev, right? It's now Denzel.
No,
It was Peter Heath we were going to.
No, sorry. So I was just I went to meet up with I went and had a meet with paralegal. I did mention it earlier. Down the space, I met up with paralegal Laura Taylor Van and former trade union official Michael Allsbury. And basically, I just went down there to meet up with them because obviously they put that article together. I did actually do a 20-minute video when I was down there. So yeah, I'll be putting that up later. But yeah, let's get back on the point. So we're talking about when we went down to the protest, yeah. About just basically you know what I mean, just various like I say, Martin and Ed. Obviously they've been down there as well. They've been down at Weapon and stuff and all that. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, what a result! What a result having the Bell Hotel closed down. People power in it. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
I just
Mark, the whole point.
This is going to be I just hope it's going to be a domino knock-on effect. I mean, I was saying this earlier when I was down the pub earlier. I was saying this to Laura and Michael. I was saying I meant we just hashed over do you know what I mean, the result with it, the Bell Hotel, and I just thought I was saying earlier what a confidence boost that's going to give to the people. Do you know what I mean? Because if the locals have managed to successfully, you know, get that hotel closed down, and that's just going to spur people on to continue to carry on protesting around all the other migrant hotels. Do you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think it will inspire, and it should inspire people to, you know, even more in the country. I think Epping was a catalyst to a lot of other things that happened after Epping, because of the numbers they were pulling and the way they were conducting themselves. You know, I think some of the things they've done were tremendous, like the pink protests and stuff like that. It's clever stuff. To follow, and now this result, that, my God, that should hopefully inspire even more, and quite rightly so. The protesting is not the sole right of those who are very far left. It is the sole right of every single person who happens to be a citizen of the United Kingdom. And I think it's fantastic because we can no longer accept the excuse that I'm not coming because protests don't work. They evidently do work, and we need to keep at it. And I've been saying all night, it's not just about migrant hotels. Whatever your issue is, we've got Chris in the middle of the bottom row there. He's having a protest on Saturday. He's not a farmer. He's having a protest and an event to support farmers. So UK that's got any concerns, then let's get about it. Let's make some change.
100%. And like I said, with the rehashing over when I went down to the Barbican, and I was with Dave. When I was with Dave Atherton, and I was down there with him. Like I say, when we was wading through all the Antifa mob and all of the stand up to racism mob with Nurinder Kaur at the forefront, you know what I mean? You know, with all their with like I say, with all of them, they all had identical placards. Like I've mentioned before, like everyone's previously mentioned before, it clearly shows that they're funded. And I was saying to this to Michael down the pub earlier, and he said, "Yeah, they're funded by the unions. It's union funded." So it's whereas I would.
Yeah, that blows my mind, because it's the single.
Yeah, but Craig, there was me thinking that, you know what I mean, George Soros might have been involved in that, in stuff like this, because obviously, you know,
possibly, but I think it's bonkers. Sorry, Shawnee, I've got a wee delay going. I got my Wi-Fi changed today, and it's not settled down yet, so you know I'm probably a split second or two behind you. But I think it's bonkers, right? If you're a trade union, your main, if not only aim, should be to protect the rights and improve the rights of the workers in Britain, right?
Yeah.
So if you think about labour as a commodity, because that's all it is, right? You sell your labour or you buy labour if you're an employer. If you bring more people here, the commodity becomes a lot, so there's a lot more of it. So the value goes down. And when the commodity is low, the value goes up. So why would anybody from a trade union be like, can we have more, please? That's counterintuitive. And when I was talking at Manchester, and behind us in the counter protest, there was all these trade union banners. It kind of, the penny dropped for me, and I thought, this is just a pure con.
The thing is, what I've listened to, and I'm sure it was Jen maybe said it in one of our spaces last week, because we spoke about these unions and why they're funding them, and why don't we, let's say for instance you've got a teachers union, yeah, in order to be, you have to be part of that union, yeah, so you have to have paid up membership, but a part of what they do is that you don't control how the funds are spent. Do you know what I mean? It's spent by the board. So the people that obviously funding the unions, they might not necessarily obviously agree with where the money's being spent or where it's going, but they've got no control over it. And they can't, it's like they have to be part of that union in order to be able to do their profession. So it's like it's monopolized, isn't it? It's a bit of a blackmail situation. Do you know what I mean?
But you know,
sounds like good old fashioned socialism.
No, it's disgusting.
What I was going to say as well, right, is while everyone's getting pent up, yeah, right, within regards to the situation with the illegal migrants coming across the channel, right, day in, day out, right. I've just been thinking about this, and I just think like it's you know, it's clear that it's all diversion tactics, and do you know what I mean? They're wanting us to continuously get pent up about the situation. But while it's all happening and while we're all getting pent up in that, you know, how much legislation are they tucking round the back door without debating it in Parliament, without proper consultation with the people, us, the people, right? How much legislation are they secretly tucking round the back door, placing things into law? While you know distraction tactics. Do you know what I'm saying? That's what we've got to be worried about, I think. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's totally true.
Yes, no, you're right. We did sort of touch on that, like the things, you know, they're doing one thing in front of your eyes, and you've got to worry about the thing that you can't see behind your back.
Well, it is. It's like you know what I mean. They're leaning in with a toy, a rattle toy, and ratting it in front of the baby, right? Like, do you know what I mean? The eyes are looking at the toy, and then like, what's going on behind? Do you know what I mean? What's going on behind closed doors?
Well, even if you took immigration as a problem, you know, we all concentrate on the boats, but really we've got to look at the other means, you know, and the legal migration. Well, people understand that the UK is just unsustainable, legal and illegal. You know what I'm saying? It's not sustainable. Back like in the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, yeah, you know, there was room for migration or people to immigrate to the UK. But you know, there comes a point where we're only a small island. Everywhere it's full. We shouldn't be ashamed to shut our borders.
No.
You know.
Exactly. You can't. It's unsustainable, Martin. Sure. You can't just add 1 million excess people to the population to an island which is as small as ours, and then not expect the wages to stagnate, and then not expect the quality of life to dip because of the people where you're bringing them in from. 250,000 from India, 250,000 from Pakistan in a year. So the quality of life's going to drop for the people who are currently residing in said country anyway. The wages are going to stagnate for the people in the country anyway, and the house prices are going to 41 times in some areas than my parents' generation. And then stupid Keir Starmer holds a press conference and goes, "We've got a surge in population and we've got record NHS waiting times."
That's what I mean. It's things like the NHS, you know, we all take the NHS for granted because it's free, but it's not free, is it? It's not free. That comes out of obviously our national insurance and our taxes. You know, so
have you know? Of course, but let's be honest. Let's not beat around the bush here. Since illegal migration has gone through the roof, right? And the you know what I mean, the complete influx with all these foreigners coming from left, right, and Chelsea, right? It's like it's put so much strain on GP waiting times. Do you know what I mean? You like getting an appointment is going to take you something silly that would like years ago would have only taken, I don't know, a couple of weeks, is now taking 6 months, right? Do you know what I mean? And these are for the British people that were born and bred here, pay taxes all their life, right? Contributed to society their whole life, worked hard, and now it's like we're pushed at the back of the queue, and all these illegal migrants are getting put right at the forefront, given 5-star treatment, and you know that you don't know where they've come from, and it's like, are we really going there? Or are we really, like I mean, how
GPs on site, mate.
throw that in our face?
In their own hotels. They've got the whole system there.
Yeah, how blatantly obvious do you want to go about this? Because it's like it's almost as if it's like they're trying to goad the public into going out and causing riots, like because let's be honest, it's not hard to stop the boats. It's not hard. They could stop the boats if they wanted. I don't care what anyone says. They could stop the boats in a heartbeat, right? But they won't, because there's an agenda, and while they're flooding all the illegal migrants, right, and they're putting them up in those hotels. My personal opinion, they're trying to weaken the country from the inside out because they want to push the Agenda 2030 out there, right? They want to roll out the date. They want to cause massive civil unrest. They want that to happen. And when that happens, that's where they're going to go. That's when they're going to get the old bill. They're going to get the old bill to go out and nick all the right wingers, put everyone in prison, and then which is then going to lead them on to rolling out the digital ID system. Do you know what I mean?
These are the things that we all can get together and, you know what I mean?
Things that I've been talking about years ago. And I mean, when I was back in the army, I was talking with my pals back in the army about this years ago, right? The amount of rabbit holes I went down with, and the amount of people that were going, "Oh, tinfoil hat wearer. Oh, you're a conspiracy theorist, Sean. Oh, this, that, and X, Y, and Z," right? And then years down the line, how much stuff has come to fruition from all of that? Pretty much 90% of it all so far. So, and then you get same people going around and going, "Oh my God, I can't believe this is happening." And well, I told you this years ago, mate. So, do you get what I'm saying?
The Scottish government tried to push digital ID in, I think, 2023, but it's largely forgotten about because it never happened. So they must have known it wasn't popular. And a few years down the line, here we are again. Another problem created by government, and they swoop in with a solution: digital ID. I agree. I think that's the end game for everything. I think they want us to be in poverty because that way we're dependent on government. I think it all goes back to digital ID.
Right. What I think
Chris,
about
we're
bonkers,
already a nanny state, mate. We're already a nanny state, right? The amount of surveillance that we've got around up and down the UK, Scotland, everywhere, it's unbelievable, right? And then the moment this digital ID gets rolled out, it's game over, because that means if you piss them off, right, we're switching off your finances, we're cutting you off. Do you know what I'm saying? Do you know what I mean? Right. Let's freeze their bank account. Done. Right. Oh, you're not playing game? Okay, right. That's it. We're gonna put a black mark against their name. Do you know what I mean? All your personal information, all your you know, your personal information about you as a person, your whole identity, right? All compartmentalized into one place where the government can literally just go, yeah, they're not playing ball, turn them off, and that's you done. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I don't want my children to grow up into a society where they've got where they're living, where they've got to endure that life. I don't want that. Cash is king in my eyes. I don't ever want cash to go. I want cash to stay. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I do think
I think
it's swinging back in the
what
direction of cash.
But what I think's really, really strange, and it became apparent to me when the Scottish Parliament tried to push through the transgender things, and we were to be different again for the rest of the UK. I thought, well, that's a bit bonkers, right? Why would anybody think that makes sense? But then I looked around the world and you thought, well, Canada's doing it, Australia's doing it. There's certain people in America trying to do it. There's certain other areas in Europe trying to do it. And you think that for a minute, that means I'm meant to accept that all these independent countries, independent governments, all had the exact same idea at the same time. I'm like, I can't accept that. That doesn't happen. That is one of the biggest coincidences of all coincidences in the world, and coincidences tend not to be coincidence. And you go, okay, so let's look at anything else, and it always gets back to say there's not a single normal Western government that kind of do anything that somebody else isn't doing. And you think, oh, how's that possible? They should all be doing different things if they're all independent. And you cannot ignore what I used to not even consider it, but now you can't actually ignore the possibility that there's something else above them, or they wouldn't all be doing the same thing at the same time. That makes no sense to me.
I think we need to be following what the Hungarians are doing. We're going back to the illegal immigration, suck up these fines. It's 100 times cheaper than housing them. That's for sure. You know what I mean? They literally stick two fingers up at them, and I think they're the blueprint. I think we should be, roll on the 13th of September is what I say. Free speech down in London.
Yeah,
we're going to have all the amazing guests. Really going to rally everyone together.
That's going to be history.
I
think that's going to be historic. I mean,
Huge.
20 protests Friday, 20 protests on Saturday. They're happening up and down the country in the week as well. Every single weekend we're seeing different protests. The length of the entirety of the UK. Scotland, we're seeing them right down south, right up north. They're happening organically everywhere. And I think September 13th, there's a lot of pissed off people and they're just going to flood to the capital. I reckon 7 figures minimum.
And all I would say to those, the ones that are outside of Epping now, that are, protests away from Epping, is just like to the locals. They've just got to stick at it. Whatever your routine is once a week or twice a week, you just got to keep it up. Even if you go to one and then sometimes the numbers might not be as great as they were the week before, it doesn't matter. You've got to keep showing consistency, because the moment you drop your guard is the moment the government think they'll get away with it. You just have to keep going and going and going. It might take weeks, it might take months. You know what I'm saying? But you have to keep going. If you want a hotel shut down in your area, you have to get out on your feet. Like we've all said numerous times.
But this is what I was saying earlier, though. This is what I was saying earlier, Martin, though. Do you know what I mean? You and Edward going down there, mate, right, and all the other people that was going down to the Bell Hotel, right, and protesting down there, getting all the footage, reporting back, do you know what I mean, with proper grade A information on what was going on down there. And and then to the final result of it being shut down, like I said earlier, that's been nothing short of a confidence boost for the people. That's protested like yourself, Edward, like all of us that have been advocating to have that migrant hotel shut down. That's such a positive outcome. Like that would have given the people such a confidence boost, like you wouldn't believe. And that's only, like I said earlier, that's only going to spur people on to continuously go out, if not bring more people out to go out and protest, because they thought, oh Christ, like the Bell Hotel, like the people have managed to get that one shut down, that migrant hotel. Yeah, bloody right. I'm going to go and get involved now. Come on, let's have it. Let's go out there. Let's go out and protest other migrant hotels and go and get the same done with all the other ones. Do you know what
Well,
I'm
let's
saying?
face it, we haven't got a lot to cheer about, have we, in the UK at the moment? So all these little wins, you know, no matter how big or small they are, a win's a win, innit? You know, we need
Right,
these little.
I just want to pipe in here for a second, right? Because something was mentioned there. Right, we're well aware of the big one that's happening the 13th of September, right? And I know a lot of people from Scotland are making their way down to that. So I'm going to say the same thing in return. See, when Scotland puts a big one on, I'm going to expect all you to head back up this direction to show us support. Because it can't be a one-way street. We all need to stand together. Do you know what I mean? The people are going to make the effort. I mean, I know a guy that's coming for the top end of Scotland. He's going to come to my house first, stay the Thursday night, and then on the Friday we're going to leave here at 2 o'clock in the morning to get down to London. And then on the way back up, he's going to stay here the night again before he heads back up the road, because it'll take him 7 hours to get from my house to his house. And it just goes to show you the effort people are making. I mean, I know Craig's going to be down there because I know he's got plans and he's going to be down there for a few days. But we need to start making an effort for each other. So if there's I know there's somebody in the background that's trying to organise one big massive one. It might be this year, it might be next year. But see next year if we've got a big one in Scotland, it could be both, mate. Aye. But you know, I'm going to expect, and I'm not even going to say I'm wanting or hoping. I'm going to expect the people that we're supporting doing you, it comes in return, and you all head up this direction, and you show you stand in solidarity with the Scottish people too, because we're on the same message. But your guys are, we're just a few years behind you, but we're now starting to find our voices.
I don't think we are, Kev.
What's that, mate?
I don't think we are a few years behind.
Well, we were at one
Well,
point.
Scotland, see outside London. Do you know what city takes the most illegal migrants in the last year and a half?
Glasgow.
So we ain't a couple of years behind anybody, because we're taking more than Birmingham, Liverpool, Manchester, Wolverhampton.
The point I'm making, though, Craig, is when I say we're a few years behind, what I mean by that, mate, is we're a few years behind actually getting out and actually starting to find their voices. English people have been moaning about this for years. The Scottish people have sort of been kind of, we know it's been happening, but we've not really been saying too much. But in recent times, it's obviously for me, Peterhead was the starting point. The people in Peterhead actually gave the Scottish people the encouragement to say, do you know what, we're going to do something now. Falkirk's, as you said, rightly pointed out, Falkirk's numbers on Saturday were phenomenal. But you've
the numbers Falkirk put out in protests is just amazing because of the size of that community. That was brilliant. And see Aberdeen, there's words for Scotland. Aberdeen for consistency and Falkirk for numbers.
And that's the thing, mate. But
you
rightly pointed out, Tado, we've got two.
All right, Sean, thanks for coming on, buddy. Pleasure having you.
No worries, Baba. I'll see you in a bit.
See you later, Shorty boy.
Right. Take care, Sean.
And you're right what you've said in a countless times on this, not just tonight, Craig, but in a few times that I spoke to you as well. If people like Peterhead, with a population of about 19,000, and Falkirk has not got a massive population either. If these two places can get out in mass and start protesting, where are the people of Edinburgh? Where are the people of Glasgow? Our two major cities. Do you know what I mean? They need to start getting out there. Do you know what I mean? We need to start showing I mean, don't get me wrong, Nick Tenconi came up not that long ago, and people did turn out. Do you know what I mean? But we know what happened there. The police led them down a garden path and took them away from where they wanted to actually be. But if the things that you are talking about with the organisation, the one in Glasgow, where there'll be a stage, there'll be a screen, there'll be speakers. Do you know what I mean? If that happens, everybody needs to make sure they get there.
We're looking at one in September.
Aye.
As not a dry run, but a decent thing, right? And my opinion is we should have it the weekend after Tommy's, for the simple reason I think Tommy's, like Eddie was saying, I think it's going to be phenomenal, right? And I think you'll have a lot of Scottish people there, but you'll equally have a lot of Scottish people who, once they see the crowd, will think, I wish I had went there, right? So if we put on something for them the next weekend, I think that we could really, really pull a crowd, right? Because a lot of people can't have the time or the money that they can travel 500 miles into London. Okay, and then the thing is, once we get that done, that'll be an event, right? It'll just be a protest like every other protest. But we're looking at, John, I went down to Ayrshire. I don't want to say too much about the guy who might get grief, but we went down to see a guy who puts on like large events. And he rents out stuff for large events. So he's got screens, he's got PA systems, he's got lights, he's got drones, he's got cameras, he's got everything that you need. With a view of finding somewhere that we can do early next year into the spring, when there's a chance it won't rain in Scotland, and do a big mega thing with a big truck stage and the big screens and just get right in about it. And I've taken a lot of inspiration from what's happening down south. I think the numbers that Tommy's pulled, just nobody would have expected them. And I kind of agree with Eddie that this one will probably blow a lot of them into the water.
I put a thread out yesterday, right? And I know you might disagree with me what I'm going to say here, but I'm absolutely banging the money. Somebody said we need a front man in Scotland. We've actually got 4 front men in Scotland. We've got yourself, we've got John, we've got Alec for Spartan, and we've got Ryan H. There's your 4 men right there who are prepared to stand up and be counted, right? You've got DJR Media who'll go there and cover things. You've got Guerrilla TV, as God bless them, turns up everywhere. Do you know what I mean? And bear in mind that by Disney Drive. Do you know what I mean? So he gets trains everywhere, he gets buses. Do you know what I mean? We've got people up
Or he gets a lift off me.
Huh?
Or he gets a lift off me. I couldn't believe it when we got to get the bus. I was like, how did you get here? You don't drive. So I get the bus to Edinburgh.
It was the suit he kind of
No
put up in for
chance.
me.
What, mate?
The full suit and everything.
Mate. I'll go and put my boy to bed, mate. He's up on his
It
game.
was a pleasure having you tonight. Thanks for coming in and out. It was tremendous to meet you, my friend.
Thanks for inviting me, and keep me up to date, Kevin, Craig, with obviously what's going on up in Scotland, any protests and that. But yeah, I think 100%. I think we do need to return the favour. I'm more than happy to come up.
I know you would, big man.
All right. I'll speak to you guys soon. See you later.
I'll give you a lap dance if you want.
Can you promise me one thing, Kev? Give me a ride on the back of your moped.
Absolutely, big man. I'll even drive it with a thong.
Super.
I'll see you later. See you later, lads.
Take it easy.
Take care, mate. Take care.
You know what, Kev, right?
Yeah.
I don't even think it's just about having one front man, because I know quite a few people who are going. Well, I know tons of people who are going in on September 13th, and even in some of these local protests, they're not going solely because there's going to be YouTubers there. They're not going for the idea of that there's going to be a big name there. They're not going for they're solely going there because they find what's going on, and they find that being put at the back of a list to see people who have contributed nothing to our society get everything that the working British taxpayer doesn't get: free dental care for your teeth. They get NHS on site, no waiting time. A lot of these have got almost makeshift hospitals on the migrant hotels. Free phones, free Wi-Fi. So I think a lot of people are just so pissed off with what's happening, 2 with the towns and cities being absolutely decimated around the country. So yeah, I almost think it's got exploded way bigger than just having one person.
I mean,
you know what I mean?
When I'm talking about front men, Eddie, right? Right, let's get it right. We've all been heavily reliant on Tommy Robinson for decades, right? There's nobody can deny that, right? Tommy Robinson's been the one that's been out there constantly doing everything he can to highlight the issues in this country. But as time's rolled on, there are more and more people are stepping up to the plate, right? We're sitting here talking to one right now, Big Houston, right? I mean, the guy's an absolute star, right? And the time I've known him, right, is the same guy I met 2 years ago to as the day, right? All he gives a shit about is what's going on in this country, and he goes to all ends to highlight the issues. He's been to Ballymena, he's been to Cali, he's been to Lesbos, he's gone somewhere else where it's highly dangerous, right? He's been up to Aberdeen. We're going up to Aberdeen again at the weekend. I'm going up to Aberdeen on my scooter. That's how much I want to try and get involved in all this stuff, right? Because but people are now starting to stand up, right? Because we've got more and more Tommy Robinsons. Because and I'm no pitting saying that you're all like Tommy, right? But more and more people are saying, do you know what? I'm going to step up to the plate and do something. I'm going to step up to the plate. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to highlight the issues that's going on in our country. So all these wee protests that are getting outside the hotels, right? You've got to remember somebody stepped up and said, I'll take the responsibility of that. I'll organise that one. And then you've got people that will say, do you know what? I'm going to make the effort to go to that, to document it, like yourself, who travels all over the place to go to them. Craig does the same. John Watt does the same, right? Alec does the same. Ryan H does the same. I mean, I could list, there's an endless count of people that do it. And this is what we're needing. It's more and more people like yourselves. I mean, I do my wee bit up here in Scotland, right? I take advice off of Craig. I take advice off of John. Right, I'm still a wee bit too emotional when it comes to things like that, right? As Craig will testify to something that happened the other night there when I was away checking something out, right? And I've got to be kind of reined in a wee bit, but I'm just trying to kind of find my feet in it. Once I get the certain equipment in place, I'll get better and better and better, because I'm going to highlight every single one of these hotels in Scotland. I'll get to every single one of the ones that's been sent to me. Do you know what I mean? And I'll pass them on to people like Craig, and I'll pass them on to people like John. But it gives me a bit of a warm feeling. The speeches in recent times that I've watched and I've witnessed, I've watched Alec Spartan and Falkirk on Saturday. I've seen Big Craig doing his usual slate the lefties before he gets on his good stuff. Do you know what I mean? Don't get me wrong. The first, when he slates the lefties, that's comic. That's just comedy gold. Do you know what I mean? Big John Gino De Campo, what? I mean, he's rousing every time he opens his mouth. Do you know what I mean? And Ryan H, God bless the laddie, for his first time ever speaking, and Peterhead done an absolute fantastic job. So it's just a question. If these people are making the effort to set up protests, then people need to start making the effort to get to them, regardless of where they are, because we cannot keep staying silent. And Epping is a fine example of what you do when people get together and people power stand up there. And now it looks like Falkirk Council are starting to stand up and take notice as well. We just need to keep applying the pressure, but it's good to see that the onus isn't just staying on one man and one man only. There's more and more front men starting to come up. Do you know what I mean? And the four I recognise mostly in Scotland are the four that I speak to a lot. I've got a lot of respect for. I'm quite honoured to call one of them, a couple of my mates. Do you know what I mean? Because they're just good people. They stand up and say, do you know what? Lean on me, and I'll do your job for you. I'll highlight the issues that's going on in this country, and fair play to them, because they get absolutely battered to death on every social media platform. You've seen what happened. You've seen what's happened to Craig in recent times as well. Do you know what I mean? People trying to silence him again, but here he is, still sitting here, still standing tall, and still saying, do you know what? I'll stand up and be counted. And yet you've got wet wipes that absolutely just want to attack him because he's standing there for the Scottish people. See if anybody doesn't want to support Craig. Sit down, pipe down, and bugger off. Then let the adults get on behind them, and we'll sort this country out for these absolute clowns. Anyway,
Right, I disagree. Oh God, you take a breath, Biggin, right? I only disagree with one thing. I only disagree with one thing you said there, right?
Gino
I'm doing this.
Campo.
No, I'm doing this for the British people, mate.
You know what I mean. I mean,
one thing I've learned in my travels over Ballymena, Peterhead, Aberdeen, Glasgow, Edinburgh, Manchester, Liverpool, Manchester, London, Dover, even Cali and Lesbos, the front line of the European border issues. Everybody that's normal have the same concerns. And I'm saying that in a British context, but to be fair, the people in Cali and Greece, they actually all have the same concerns. So
when I say
Scottish
people, but when I say Scottish people, Craig, you're not standing in the general election. You're standing in Scotland to get into Holyrood. That's what I'm talking about there. Do you know what I mean? So when I refer to you, I know the work you do for the British people. That's what I'm saying. When it comes to Scotland, you're saying to yourself, I'll stand up and be counted. Do you know what I mean? Give me your vote and I'll get into Holyrood. There's mess out for you.
Take a breath, right? If I'm successful this year getting into Holyrood, right? There's another election in 2029. Who knows what will happen between now and then? But we'll see how it plans out. But listen, I've been trying to get to this question for about an hour, and Kev's needing his inhaler. I don't know how to say that. Non-Colvidere. I hope I've said that nearly right. Asking if there's any protests in Scotland this week. Well, yeah, there are. There's two that I know about. And the gentleman up in the top right, he's holding one in Stirling. 12 o'clock, Chris, Kings Park.
Yeah, there's going to be fun activities from 12, and then 1 o'clock's sort of the main gathering, and then things will sort of kick off at 2.
Yeah.
So, yeah, 12 o'clock for the fun stuff, and then 1 o'clock for the sort of main gathering.
Okay, and then I'm going to go to that, and then I'm heading up further north up to Aberdeen, where there's a protest from 6 p.m. at I can't remember the hotel. What's the hotel? Because I found a protest next to up there. That's it.
Hampton by Hilton.
Hilton. What side of the town is that, DJ?
West Hill, I believe.
But is that whereabouts is that? If I'm
it's a bit out of town.
Right. South, north, west. Definitely no east because it's in the sea. So that'll narrow it down. But so it's
you know
outside
what
the
I found most interesting about these protests, about the numbers of people at these protests, about the types of people who've come into these protests, because I don't want to sound harsh, but it's not this. If you're looking at it from someone who just watches the mainstream media, it's if you actually go and visit, this is why I think independent journalism is so important. If you actually go and show some of the people, they just look like normal people, and it's smashing the far right narrative absolutely out of the water. And what's so fantastic about these happening up and down the length of the country, I was speaking to someone double my age, they turned around to me the other day, they said, we've never seen anything like this, not on this level, to this extent. What's fantastic about this is we've had the media against us, we've had our god-awful weaponized judiciary system against us, which has seen us imprisoned for tweets, it's seen us imprisoned for waving flags near religious buildings. It's seen as we've seen Keir Starmer, our leader, our Prime Minister, coming out giving press conferences about us, saying that he will make examples of us in record time by ultimately weaponising his judiciary system, working with his far left connected Attorney General Lord Hermer, and working with Shabana Mahmood, our Justice Secretary as well, to weaponise the judiciary system at us. We're constantly getting called far right. The people who are protesting are constantly risking their jobs and their livelihoods and falling out with their families, getting doxxed, getting the house destroyed. They're risking all of these things, and still, even now, after all of that, after having the media against you, having the judiciary system against you, after having the entire establishment against you, you're still going out and protesting on this extent. And that is why I can really, really see these protests making an everlasting change, a real and lasting difference.
Yeah, yeah. I think as well, Eddie, it will change society because, as I keep harping on, particularly in my memory, the left have had the civil rights and protesting. That'll never be the same again. And I think, and again, because we're now seeing victories, we're seeing a bit of sense with the gender recognition stuff at the Supreme Court. We're seeing sense with the migrant hotels, and the victory for the good people of Epping. And I kind of think that means for a long time, the people on our side, which is not the far left, everybody that's even slightly right of that, normal people have now got protest in their options when they're not happy with stuff. And that's the biggest thing I can see over this as well.
I was at the Britannia the other day, Craig. I was at the Britannia the other day, Craig. Someone turned around to me and says, I voted Labour in the last election, but I don't know why. I don't know why. I'm living around the corner in Canary Wharf, which should be the economic capital of the entire world. I mean, we're in Canary Wharf. It should be the central hub of the entire world in terms of economics. Why am I paying 7 figures for an apartment and then having hundreds of undocumented people? And these protests, it's not even like we're asking for a lot. In these towns and in these little villages where some of these hotels are, they've got a population of a few thousand. So they're bound to not want hundreds of people from countries where their IQs are about -12, where their cultures are completely alien to ours, because you can't just take someone out of that environment from the other side of around the world where the cultures are completely different to ours, not necessarily saying that's a bad thing, just different, place them into a first world developed nation, them to act as a native Englishman would. I don't think it's impossible. It's just a culture clash. That's what we've seen in Leicester last summer when we had a cricket match, and then we've seen the Pakistanis and the Indians rioting. That almost fell into complete civil war. So they can't even really assimilate between themselves. So you can't expect them to assimilate with indigenous people would. But yeah, we're not even asking for a lot. Close down the hotels. £8 million a day is completely unfair. Why are people who have contributed nothing to our society get put up in luxury, get everything that the British people are not entitled to? If everyone who's watching this and listening to this and everyone who's on the panel, if you lost your job, if everything went wrong for you tomorrow, no matter how hard you've worked, no matter how much you've contributed to the society, no matter how much of a good person you are, if you was to lose everything tomorrow, you would not be entitled to 1% of what people who have contributed nothing to our society, people who are contributing nothing to our society by sitting in these hotels, you would not be entitled to 1% of what these are entitled to. So yeah, it's you can absolutely see why people are protesting. Absolutely.
I think what's happening
Yeah,
as well, I
yeah.
think the left
Could you just
lost-
maybe follow up?
Oh, sorry.
Crack on, mate. Can you go, Chris?
Yeah, I was
Keep
just
going,
quickly
you're
going to
fine.
say, I think the left has lost the intimidation factor. I think people is no longer frightened to go against the narrative, because the narrative just became so silly that people have just said, you can't have people being put up in hotels, you can't be trying to control us through speech, and you can't have people pretending to be a different gender and make other people say it. And I think it's almost like a mass awakening, if you like, or a mass consensus is starting to build. And it's like everything the left has always pushed has been through intimidation, and I think that's starting to thaw off. I think it's starting to become like a pendulum swing.
It is. I've been to numerous up and down the length of the country, and the ones that I've seen counter protests, that Antifa, you stand up to racism, the unions, it's always been a very tiny, not even really very vocal, just standing there for about half an hour and then get escorted away. It's only very small groups. The momentum is so with us. The momentum is solely with us. And we've seen them be bussed out, walked in from the train station. So on one hand, you've got the local community coming out against not wanting hundreds of undocumented fighting age men in the towns and cities. And then you've got other protesters, potentially paid, who knows, getting bussed in from around the country. I even got intel that they're coming in on coaches, renting out big coaches to come into local towns and cities. I don't know what gives them the moral virtue, the audacity to come into towns and cities and villages where local residents, women, children, and concerned fathers, elderly people, ethnic minority communities are protesting about these hotels. What gives them, what makes them think that they're so righteous and they've got the moral authority over anyone to come to travel miles, start screaming Nazi for a few hours, and then leave back to where you came from after causing a load of trouble?
Yeah, it's bonkers. Right, I'm going to need to draw it up because I thought we'd go to 10 o'clock. Well, I thought we might get to 10 o'clock. We're nearly at 10:30 now, so I'm just going to draw a close. And we've asked just another question when Chris, could you just give the details again for the venue and the times?
Yeah, so 12 o'clock at Kings Park in Stirling. It's quite central. 12 o'clock the fun stuff, and 1 o'clock the main gathering for the farmers' protest. Great.
Well, guys, this has just been a mad night. I think there's been about 6,000 people tuned into this. The people that have come up to speak have been phenomenal, and in particular thanks to the people who have not been up before that have came and visited the show, and it was exactly what I was hoping it would be. It would just be people talking about the protests, how we're getting on, how we're winning, how we're going to do this, and that's been great. And we've seen people from the length of the nation, from as far up as Peterhead right down to the English Channel. So it's been really great and humbling that so many people have come on to tell us what they've been doing. So thank you all them. Thank you everybody. William and who's the other person that came up from the floor to talk. And thank you to the thousands. That's right, you're Johnny. Thank you to the thousands that have tuned into it. And if you haven't seen any of these people that you've seen tonight, going on to YouTube, go on to Twitter, give them all a follow. As soon as this is finished, you can go on. And just at the end, be saying what I always say at the end of my videos: unless you're the type of person that wants to come to our country, when you're not fleeing for your own life, you're not a proper asylum seeker. And unless you're the type of person that facilitates this and destroys the communities, the towns and the cities across our great nation, and not you, but everyone else, have a great day. And if you stay tuned for the next minute, you'll see a little trailer for a video I done months ago when I went to Cali, and I'll show you exactly what's coming if we don't do something about it. Cheery bye.